Alrighty, hello folks, we are finally live. So we are coming to you with the finals and semifinals of the Cold One Cup. This has been our ongoing land battle tournament. We've had qualifiers over the past 3 months or so, and today we finally get the showdown between the top 8 players. And let me just go ahead and do my going live announcement real quick. Alright, so yes, we've got our first semifinal here. We've got Stingers versus ODM's green one. What? Discord, why are you like this? There we go. So, let's check out the brackets. We did have our top 8 players who all qualified from our previous events. We had Human Boy, who was defeated by Big JP, VM Berserk versus Starvation, who are still playing. Green one has defeated Rusto, and Stingers defeated Raced. Now we are going to be casting the semifinals between Stingers and the green one. So these are best of 3 semifinals. The finals will be a best of 5. And we're using the same pick system we've been using throughout the whole qualifiers. So it's a pick 3 ban 1 for the first 2 rounds, and then the tiebreaker is a pick 3 matrix. And our maps for the semifinals are Peak Pass, Galbaraz, and Pillar of Bone. Looks like Stingers is hovering Kislev. I don't know if they've done their picks just yet, but I will ask them to keep me informed. Ah, excellent. I didn't even need to ask. So, who picked? So green one picked Cathay, Greenskins, Dark Elves, banned Counts. Stingers answered with Kislev, banned Greenskins. And we are awaiting green one's final choice. So he's got either Dark Elves or Cathay into Kislev. Stingers is quite a Kislev player, so I'm not surprised to see him bring it out here. They have been doing pretty poorly in the land battle meta, as far as I'm aware, for quite some time, but he is a bit of a specialist, so I wouldn't be that surprised to see him have some tricks up his sleeve, see what kind of schemes he can pull out against green ones. Looks like he has Dark Elves. Yep, Dark Elves. Also, I am being pinged. Do I care about this? Cool. Oh, Human Boy pinged my tournament. That was very nice of him. Yeah, so Kislev, Dark Elves. I imagine Dark Elves are a bit of a problem for Kislev. Being a full hybrid faction. I did ping my stream. What do you mean I did? Yeah, being a bit of a high perfection, we're really relying on missiles for a lot of the killing power against the large amounts of silver shields of the Dark Elves. I could see being quite an issue. That said, they have the silver shields of their own, and Dark Elves do lack a lot of armor piercing and melee, so they are going to be fairly durable in that regard as well. So I expect it will be actually quite a bit of a melee grind, as neither one of them are terribly vulnerable to each other's missile play. At least for the infantry line. I imagine Cold One Knights probably run the cavalry show. I don't imagine most of the Kislev cavalry trades very well with them, anything short of war bears, as they lack armor piercing of their own and are quite vulnerable to those armor piercing anti-large armored cavalry that the Dark Elves can field. Alright, let's try this again real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. I forgot Discord had text-to-speech. I did not mean to use Discord text-to-speech. This is not what I asked for. So yeah, I suspect Dark Elves are going to field a pretty hefty front line of just Bleak Swords and Dread Spears for those silver shields. Probably skip out on the Corsairs as they lack armor piercing and shields. They're both very, very valuable in this matchup. And go pretty heavily on the Cold One Knight Cav to try and outmaneuver Kislev and get some nice mobility control. Probably, do they go for the Dragon Lord in this matchup? I wouldn't be that surprised to see it. It's just very reliable. The breath attacks are nice kind of infantry. It is a little bit vulnerable to even the pistol shooting from armored Kossars. Gotta be a bit cagey with it, really avoid giving good shots or just be on top of juking. As for Kislev, I wouldn't be surprised to see a front line of just, silver shielded armored Kossars. Beyond that, I'm not sure what you do. This might be a sled matchup. Dark Elves don't have a lot of great answers to sleds, although Scourge Runners can do pretty well to them as they do outrange them. Their damage, however, was nerfed this last patch, so I could see that being a bit of a struggle for Dark Elves. If the sleds are able to just be online, they can shoot the Cold One Cavalry very well, and they clear out the Dark Elf infantry. So that could be a big threat to Dark Elves if they don't have some kind of answer for them. If that's the angle Stinger decides to opt into. Or if he goes for a more, Warbear heavy style and actually tries to win that Cav fight, that could be another angle I see too. But looks like Stinger's crashed. So they had just readied up. I assume that's a crash. No worries, he can just get back in and get his build back up pretty quick. No problem. Or he just misclicked. One of the two. Hey, Knighthood, welcome to the stream, my friend. Glad you could join us. Alright, our players are ready. We are getting this show on the road. Looks like Stingers has indeed opted in for that sled style, as well as bring a hefty amount of cavalry of his own. He's really going to try and fight for that mobility control, which I think is probably a smart idea. I don't see your infantry doing terribly well without any kind of mobility support. Otherwise, the Dark Elf Cav could just cycle charge you to Kingdom Come without a whole lot of issues. The Dark Elf side, we do have, looks like a pretty hefty Darkshard core, and then just a lot of that armor-piercing cavalry we talked about. Keeping it pretty simple. Nothing too fancy for the Dark Elves. I can see, especially on a map like this that is just so large, definitely wanting to opt into that mobility fight quite a bit for both sides, as there is just so much space for cav play to occur. I could see just going for a more heavy infantry style being a bit of a struggle on a map this large, just being pulled apart or skirmished heavily, so I'm not surprised to see both of our players going pretty heavy in the cavalry. Alright, so for Stingers' Kislev, he has an Ice Witch on unit cards, Ice Witch on horseback, with just Death Frost and the Guardian's Call. It's just going to try and put some hurt on that Dragon Lord. We got 1, 2, 3 Winged Lancers, 2 Dervishes, 2 Heavy War Sleds, a single unit of Zargard, 5 armored Kossars, and a Patriarch, which I assume is just here to heal up those sleds. Yep, healing, and as well as the melee attack and melee defense aura and the passive heal. So lots of healing coming from that Patriarch. And be trying to keep those sleds topped up, and I think this build is really just about enabling those sleds. Keep the Cold One Cav off of them, let them shoot the Cav to pieces, and then run over the infantry, and then the Dark Elves can't really stop it. If you shut down that Cav, there's not a whole lot that can really take care of these sleds for you. For the Dark Elves, like I was saying, pretty simple build. We got a front line of Silver Shield infantry, as well as some spears, backed up by some Silver Shield Dark Shards, except for one who is lacking a shield, probably just a cost thing. Supreme Sorceress of Soul Stealer up on the dragon, Opal Amulet, Soul Stealer, very, very basic Dark Elf Lord, and we have 2 Cold One Knights on either side. Like I said, they'll do very, very well in that mobility game. They'll absolutely dominate Winged Lancers. They need to be very, very careful about taking shots from the sleds, as they are only very, very slightly faster than the... Oh no, they are actually the same speed as the sleds, so they're going to have a hard time catching them, and they're going to take quite a pounding from that armor-piercing gunpowder on the backs of those sleds. So they need to be very, very careful about how they approach this Kislev formation. Those are the builds, my friends, so let's get this first Cold One Cup finals underway, or semifinals, I should say. So we do have some sneaky dervish play. Gonna try to sneak around the sides of the trees, maybe get on top of those dark shards. Should be nice and free. There's something I found about Dark Elf Infantry is that it kind of is just made of paper. Any kind of cav charge does absolute work against Dark Elf Infantry. So I do like to see those kinds of plays, especially with armored cav. Winged Lancers will just tear apart a very, very large amount of Dark Elf Infantry without taking a whole lot of damage in return, as they do have pretty low HP pools and no armor piercing of their own to trade back on them. I love Dark Elf Dragons. Looks so good. The beating of the wings is great. The little helmet. Alright, here we go. So I suspect the sleds will start pushing up and skirmishing pretty aggressively. And to be a little bit careful about coming in the Dark Shards range. But the Dark Shards range is, it's only 5 range shorter, so they can still skirmish the front line pretty effectively. And the Cold One Knights will want to stay behind their lines while they approach to just avoid being shot, because they are the most valuable target. They are unshielded. Well, they don't have silver shields, they have only bronze shields. And they are much more valuable than the infantry, so you want to push up and let your infantry take their shots on the shields, while the Dark Shards zone out those sleds. The last thing you want to do, I think, is actually let your Supreme Sorceress get shot to pieces. You probably want to pull her back once you see those sleds coming up. Let her just sit chill behind your lines and be just fine. Where are we going with the Dark Elves? We're going to try and use the trees to cover our flank. Not a bad idea, I suppose, but not one I really expected to see. Or is he just scouting the he's just scouting the trees, making sure there's no dervishes hiding on this side. Fortunately for Stingers, his dervishes are in fact on the other side. So now we're just gonna line up here, use the trees as a bit of cover for our flanks. Don't know who this actually favors. I suspect the tree cover does play into the lots and lots of infantry that Dark Elves are fielding. And going into the sled seems very, very risky when all of these RMPs and crossbows are just primed and ready to fire. You really don't want to take damage that early on your big carry unit here in these two sleds. So you want to make sure to keep them nice and safe at the distance. Now that those crossbows are ready to fire. What were you aiming at, my friend? You need to go back to crossbow school. Golden Knights pushing up through the trees while the other three remain behind the formation. Now, need these guys here just to make sure the sleds can't get away with any shenanigans. If they were able to just push up and get on top of the Dark Shards, the Golden Knights would be able to just recharge them. As they come out of the Dark Shards, just recharge them and get some good armor piercing damage down on them. Sleds are trying to screen out that Dark Elf Lord. Solid play. And there goes the dervishes coming out of the trees. No sense of hiding anymore. They're just too far away to be useful if they keep hiding. They might as well push up and do what they can. Where is the Zargard? The Zargard is over here on the far right flank. You can see where Kislev is concentrating a lot of its forces, the sleds, the Zargard, and some cavalry. But this looks to be a pretty slow game so far. Both our players just jockeying for positioning. A little bit of skirmish damage down. Now the armored Cossacks are opening fire. The pistols doing some nice work. In spite of the silver shield, seeing some nice light peppering onto those dread spears. We don't have a very high HP pool anyway, so the damage is just fine. Who is pinging me? I assume this is the score for our other game. Okay, I can deal with that later. Yeah, Skizlev is cycling over to the left flank, trying to fight downhill rather than fight uphill, which is not a bad idea. Fighting strong side where all your cavalry is. Bad exchange of fire is going in. The silver shields are doing work for Kislev. No, not bad at all. The sleds do seem to be coming in along with the Winged Lancer charges. And like I said, Dark Elf Infantry is made of paper, so these cav charges, even though they're slightly uphill, should do wonders into the charging bleak swords. Oh yeah, devastating the front line of the Dark Elves. Tearing right through them. Cold One Knights are coming in to answer. The Winged Lancers should be able to saturate the sleds and let them do their work as they get in. More cavs on the flanks, you'd love to see that. Come and get involved in the fight at the same time. The sleds are just tearing apart this Dark Elf front line, though. The Cold One Knights are starting to saturate in and slow down that Kislev charge. That was a beautiful engage, though, on the front line. Running over 2 Dark Shards immediately. Getting knocked down with the Swordsman as well. The Lord is now trying to snipe out the Patriarch, trying to deny that healing for the sleds. They are in a precarious position. There's a lot of sleds around here that can just focus fire on this Lord. Do some pretty good damage as well as the pistols. Cavalry getting in between the cracks, finding their way onto the Dark Shards, shutting down that armor piercing shooting. Knights are answering and doing very, very good work. But here we are. So yeah, sleds are getting countered by the Cold One Knights, getting stopped in place. A big old Soul Stealer comes down on the sled blob and the Patriarch, getting good damage. Looks like we had a what's the spell called? The Death Frost come down on the Lord. Trading is going pretty even for the moment, but the Dark Elf front line is crumbling. There's still one Dark Shard sitting up here pretty on the top of the hill, doing good work, but the sleds are just coming, tearing through the front line, getting wherever they want. The Cold War Knights are being spread very, very thin. Wing Lancers are getting a nice counter charge, trying to help in this cav blob, but really trying to wear down those Cold War Knights. Pistol shooting as well. We do have, looks like an Armored Crosser got forgotten in the backfield, which is really unfortunate. Another Death Frost coming in, doing what they can. The pistols as well. Pistols do surprisingly good damage in those big lords. Shooting as well as while they're in melee, which is pretty impressive. Dark Shards are being shut down by the sleds, which is very, very good for Kislev. Get rid of that main source of AP in missile form to get rid of the sleds. The only real counter aside from the Cold War Knights that are being bogged down and beaten to a pulp. They are taking quite a bit of damage from all these pistols and the Wing Lancers, but they're giving just as good as they're getting, taking out a lot of those Wing Lancers in the process and removing a lot of Kislev's cavalry presence. The problem I foresee for the Dark Elves, though, is that there's a lot of Kislev infantry left on the field and not a lot of killing power for them. The Cold War Knights are pretty much useless when it comes to killing infantry, I find. They're really just here to kill the sleds. So if those Dark Shards get shut down and the Lord takes too much damage, I can see this Kislev infantry doing a lot of work very, very quickly. Sleds are starting to break. They are popping their passive. Still have 3 models, though, that are pretty healthy, so the Patriarch can get another pop heal, but he is also in that Buyer Blood passive as well, so he is wavering. And after he comes out of that, he should be just fine if he can get away from this Dragon Lord. Another Death Frost comes in, Opal Emblem just wears off, so it's going to be doing full damage, because the Lord is racking up the value against that character as well. The sleds are in the back on top of those Dark Shards. Again, if they can take them out, that's the main counter. The Cold War Knights are in shambles as well, so they could be able to take them out. Not too much difficulty, and this, all things considered, this is going pretty well for Kislev, I think. There's a lot of infantry still very healthy and with lots of ammo. The counters to the sleds are being shut down. The sleds are still fairly healthy. And does the Patriarch have any more heals available? I mean, he always has that passive heal, but he still has one more active heal. You get another big heal on these sleds. We have some Dark Shards over here on the flank that have rallied. Doing some good work. And there's a nice Soulster come down on 3 units of Armored Cossars. Sleds coming in the back of the spears to rout them off. As well as I suspect get blobbed up for this Patriarch heal. Is it off cooldown? No heal just yet. Probably still on cooldown, but value trading is still very, very even, and a beautiful breath attack comes in on the Armored Cossars. The Zargard as well are routing, so the Kislev infantry presence is getting worn down. And no, this infantry blob needs to be broken up. You need to not be all on top of each other, blocking each other up, and being fighting in the same spot. You need to get that presence spread out. Patriarch is still running from the big dragon, doing as much as he can. The sleds are still pretty hale and hearty, and there's not a lot of Cold War Knights in the area to fend them off. There's one broken over there, one broken over here. I see one Cold War Knight with only 9 models hanging on by a thread, trying to stop these sleds, but they are just going through Dark Elf forces, doing whatever they want, having their way with the Dark Elf backline, and these Dark Shards are woefully underprepared for it. Dark Shards are just being torn apart left and right, doing as much as they can, but they are just being torn apart by these sleds. There's just no viable answer for them left on the field for the Dark Elves, it looks like. All this Kislev infantry is really just on the Dragon Lord at this point to carry. 2 Dark Shards are actually pretty healthy and still alive for the moment, but they're completely unprotected. The sleds are going to do what they can. The Dragon Lord comes in again, trying to get on that Patriarch. Does what it can. It's still got that one last heal, but it is terror routing, so that heal is never going to be seen again. Soul Stealer comes down on these infantry again, just trying to wear them down. Does some good damage, it'll do a bit. But the Dark Shards are being run down by those sleds. The Patriarch is... oh no, he's not completely dead. He still is alive, 142 HP, which means that heal might be a possibility sometime in the distant future. But for now, it's all about these sleds who are just having their way with all of this Dark Elf infantry, just mowing them down. Already racked up a lot of kills, I'm sure plenty of value, more than paid for themselves. The Zargard are back, and it's really just that Dragon Lord trying to hold Kislev in it, but these sleds still have a lot of ammo, and at this point, I feel like the sleds need to just sit and shoot at that dragon. The dragon has a lot of healing left. Just take it down. The pistols are doing good work, too. Armored Cossars just firing in on them, whiffing a lot of shots, but hey, what can you do? And Kislev does pull ahead in a pretty significant value lead of about almost 1,000. I don't see a lot of hope left for the Dark Elves in this one. Their forces are tattered, all the counters to the sleds have fled, and the Dragon Lord is just being Last Samurai up there in the sky. Opal Amulet seems to be popped, but I don't think it'll be enough with all of this firing line just taking it apart. And Green One will concede, and that'll be a win for Kislev on the board. I think we're going to have to probably getting used to that with the next DLC coming in, but still, on this patch, Kislev wins are pretty impressive. Dark Elves have been one of the terrors of the meta, so pretty happy to see fat Kislev W, especially for my boy Stingers. Yeah, Sled's got good value. Patriarch, I mean, he's a heal bot. He's not there for value. Death Frost did good work to the Lord. Zargard did good work. Cossars, I mean, they were still alive and still a lot of ammo left at the late game, so given that, that was not bad. Cold One Knights, 2 of them did okay, 2 of them got shut down pretty hard. Dragon Lord did okay. The Dark Shards did honestly fine. The problem was that it was just not enough to actually answer those sleds. And that'll be Singers taking a 1-0 lead. And now I need to respond to some DMs, so just a moment. Alright, sorry about that. Had to answer some questions from the players. But yeah, very impressive Kislev win. I am happy to see Stingers bring out one of his favorite factions doing quite well. I am very, very unbiased, if you can't tell. Stingers is a friend of mine, so I am happy to see him doing well. Yeah, I feel like the Dark Elf build was just lacking... Oh, there's... Like, on paper, it looks like a good answer to all the sleds, but in reality, the Cold Knights just have a hard time dealing with them in melee. I feel like you need something to shoot the sleds, either bolt throwers or scourge runners. In my experience, scourge runners have done pretty well in the sleds in the past. They outrange them pretty heavily, but I haven't tested them since the nerfs. They might not do as well, but I can still see that being an effective method for screening them out. But the Dark Elves also just have the problem of not really having a good answer to Kislev's armored frontline. You don't have any armor piercing in melee. All of your armor piercing is on missiles, which Kislev has all the silver shields, so it's a very hard time killing the infantry. You really need your Lord to do a lot of the heavy lifting in that regard, but it's hard to get those angles for the breath attacks because the Lord is just under constant missile fire from all the hybrid units of Kislev. So it's actually a pretty tricky matchup for Dark Elves. That's not what I wanted. Alright, so next it should be Green. No, it's Stinger's pick. That was Green One's pick. And the map will be... What map are we on? We are on to Galbaraz. A nice solid all-around map. Again, sorry about the pause. I was answering some questions from the players. Should be getting everything sorted out. Yeah. Here's to see what we go for next. I know. What is Stinger's likely to pick? No, he likes his high elves, likes Kislev. What are the factions? I have a terrible time remembering the factions if I don't just look at them. I wouldn't be surprised to see. Actually, I didn't see anybody pick Bretonia, which is kind of surprising. There are no restrictions on Bretonia. Well, there's the single girl night restriction, which I hope I put in the rules. Yeah, it's in fruit rules. So yeah, single girl night. But other than that, bread is completely on the table. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that come out from anybody. Green one seemed primed to play Cathay, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that one come out. But yeah, curious to see what they pick. To do. Alright, still waiting on the picks. So yeah, green one, I know he plays one of the more defensive factions. He plays Kislev, he plays Cathay, he plays Skaven, so I'm surprised to see those kind of thing. There's Stingers with his High Elves. Okay, green one playing Walk. High Elves Walk is, I think it's pretty good for High Elves if they just do a lot of like infantry spam, White Lions, some archers, that kind of thing. And then, you know, Imberk the Dragon Lord up in the air. I don't know what Walk does in this matchup. Ever since the Hellstrike nerfs, they have a much harder time dealing with a lot of these more static factions. They kind of just have to outgrind them. Which they can do if they commit pretty heavily, but then if they commit to outgrinding them with something like Festus, then they'll have a hard time trying to rein in an Imberk type character. So I'm really curious to see what kind of Walk build we get out of green one. Okay, so Singers picks High Elf Norska Brett, ban Skaven, and then green answers with Walk, ban Brett. Yeah, not a matchup I'm too terribly familiar with. I know that typically White Lions are a very, very strong front line into Warriors of Chaos, as they do quite well into Chaos Warriors, along with some base Archers to deal with any Warriors of Chaos skirmish cav. I could see this being very, very tough for Warriors of Chaos. You really got to rely on your lore to do a lot of carrying. Maybe some armored trolls, but those are quite vulnerable to just missile attack, just missile shooting from the High Elves, which they are very, very likely to bring. So I'm curious to see what kind of build a green one has concocted to answer. Also very curious about the Lord choice. I could see Festus being solid if you just want to try to outgrind the High Elves in the front line, but I could see that being a little exploitable. Sigvald is always solid. Just run him up the middle, have help with the front line, and then have your caster be maybe a metal caster. Searing Doom could get good here. Plague of Rust is always solid, especially if you want to bring Chaos Knights. Plague of Rust could be pretty useful. What other lords could I see? Probably not Archaon. Burning Head isn't that useful here because High Elves have quite a bit of armor. Although he's a strong duelist, which could help with an Immerk type character. Bellacore is probably a little bit pricey, especially since there's going to be quite a bit of shooting. Yeah, so I'd probably go Sigvald. He seems like the safe bet into High Elves. Also a bit of a classic choice, as far as I recall, in Warhammer 2. High Elves have a pretty hard time dealing with him, especially with dragon characters being a little inconsistent with killing foot characters. And that helps you win the frontline grind a little bit better. But I'm curious to see if, if green one is of a like mind to me, or if he's got something else planned. So yeah, that's probably what I expect out of Warriors Chaos, some kind of infantry grind. Chaos Warrior opens to try and answer the White Lions, maybe Sigvald to help them win that front line a little bit better. Maybe a Nurgle caster, just heal up that front line and let them grind a little bit better. I'm not actually sure how Chaos Knights do into most of the High Elf cav. I assume they beat Silverhelms and Illyrian Reavers pretty handily, but I don't know who wins between Chaos Knights and Dragon Princes, but I could see Chaos Knights actually being a decent choice here for mobility. This is one of the few matchups where Chaos Knights aren't punished for the lack of armor piercing, because High Elves also lack that armor piercing on their cavalry. So they could actually have a pretty decent hand at winning the mobility game in spite of all the Hellstrider nerfs. But looks like we are ready to go. Looks like I was very wrong, at least with the walk build. The High Elf build isn't that far from what I anticipated. Oh, please no crash. Please no crash. Please no. Also, I have Longton's buried chat. Okay. Lovely. So, here we are. We got game 2, Stingers versus Green One. If Green One cannot manage to pull off a win here, he will be eliminated and Stingers will advance to our grand finals. Or we'll see if Green One can actually pull it out and start that reverse sweep. Alright, let's check out these builds. So for High Elves, we got Horse Imric with the full kit. Lord of Dragons, Dragonhorn, and Starlance. Lord of Dragons will be pretty good in any kind of cavalry duels we see, as well as character duels, so it's a very, very nice versatile ability. Dragonhorn will mean your frontline will just kind of dominate. I feel like they already do that, and then Starlance just for a bit of extra dueling power. We have Mage of Shadows with Melkoth for Cav, and Pit for infantry, as well as some mana battery abilities. We got a front line of White Lions, all 5, including the ROR. We got 2 basic archer, well, 1 basic archer, 1 light armor archer, a bolt thrower, the Fireborn, some War Lions. Stingers' personal favorite unit. It seems to be quite the advocate for these things. As well as Rahalger's Pride, the RR War Lion. Not something you see every day. And for the Warriors Chaos build from Green One. Yeah, not at all what I was expecting. We got a front line of Marauders backed by some Marauder Grey Opens. We have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle with Fleshy Abundance and Extreme Corruption. As well as the Crown of Everlasting Conquest for that self-regen. We have double Exalted Hero of Nurgle, who'll probably put the hurt on Imric if he gets caught alone with them. We have some Chaos Knights of Nurgle. We have some basic Chaos Knights. We have some more basic Chaos Knights. We have 2 Chaos Chariots, which is not a unit I've seen in a long time. On paper, they seem like a good choice into all of this High Elf infantry. The Chariots have not been performing super well of late, so I'll be interested to see how these guys actually do. Also, seems to be a bit of a Nurgle cosplay build. We got the Exalted Heroes of Nurgle. We got the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle. We got the Chaos Knights of Nurgle. We're just playing, better Nurgle, I guess. Which I could see being okay here. Got a lot of tanky stats to try and absorb any of the light missile fire. And really just outgrind those High Elves. Although High Elves have been pretty good at that kind of thing themselves. Although without Lore of Life, they may struggle a bit more. And yeah, Imric on horse without Lore of Life, that's going to have a hard time dealing with these 3 horse characters. Even the Lord himself is a pretty strong melee combatant despite being a caster. 43, 49, as well as having that armor and the regen. Imric might have a hard time. If he gets caught alone with those 2 characters, he will have a very hard fight in front of him. But the forces of chaos do advance. The bolt throwers are shooting into the Marauders. I imagine the targets for them will be switched to the part of the Chaos Knights. The bolt throwers are actually out in front, which seems a bit odd. I wonder if that was a bit of a mistake for Stingers, as he does run forward to try and now cover that bolt thrower. Looks to be a bit of an oopsie, but, no harm done. Chariots are coming forward along with the Chaos Knights. There is not a whole lot of cav pressure from the High Elves, just the 1 unit of cav and 2 Lions. But the cav pressure is definitely going to be in the favor of the Warriors of Chaos. Question is, how much can those cavalry actually accomplish? Can they actually lance down these White Lions and win the infantry grind on behalf of their front line? Characters are charging in, just trying to bait some archer fire, waste as much ammo as possible. And now they're going to leave as soon as the Fireborn start showing up. as they are not interested in getting surrounded in that elite anti-large cavalry unit. You be a little careful though, as, again, there is much more cavalry here available for the Wars of Chaos, so you don't want to be caught out suspecting. Archers fighting in the Great Open Marauders, perfect target, light armor, no shields, exactly the target you want to get. And if you can wear down all the Wars of Chaos infantry very, very quickly and leave the cavalry unsupported, that can be a pretty quick route to victory for the forces of the High Elves, I suspect. The Lord has now gotten stuck in along some chariots. The War Lions are trying to answer and trying to bog them down in melee, doing some pretty decent damage. The chariots are moving through, but taking a lot of hits on the way. All that armor-piercing infantry, as well as the War Lions, doing very, very good work to the pretty cheap chariot. Chaos Knights are now coming with the counter-charge. They're going to do some very devastating damage to these War Lions, who are not prepared to take this kind of charge. The White Lions, as well, are taking lots of damage. So many lions. This is just a lion build. It's very, very fun to cast. Marauders on the other side are being lanced down by the Fireborn, as well as the Rohagrid's Pride and infantry. Melee Grunt in the center has gone in full force. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Dragon Horde coming in soon. Fireborn are taking a lot of damage without any Lore of Life to heal them up. I can see that being a big, big problem. Losing your one elite cap unit this early is a massive, massive loss for the High Elves. You're really going to be relying on this infantry to kind of carry you, and this infantry needs to get involved. All these guys need to get involved. Infantry is the one advantage the High Elves have here, so they need to make sure it is saturating and taking as much damage as possible on behalf of your elite units. Dragon Horde is popped. The White Lions are now buffed up to a whole 62 melee attack, tearing apart those Margrave Opens, as well as any Chaos Knights they can get their hands on. Chaos Knights are taking a good deal of damage, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And now the caster is caught out, but the Fireborn and Imric are coming to the rescue of that damsel in distress, doing what they can. But these three very tanky characters, Imric is in trouble here. Does he have his buffs? I don't think he has them available. Nothing popped so far. The Fireborn saturating in should help him quite a bit, but they are very, very low themselves. They are wavering as well, so they're just going to try and get out of here, try and kill off all the infantry, so that their White Lions can just start dragging down those cavalry units all on their own. But now the caster is being sacrificed. It is a foot caster, which means she's very tanky, but it also means she cannot get away from these bullies of horse characters at all. So Bolt Thrower is still alive for the moment, still chipping away at the Chaos Knights, but the value is very, very heavily in favor of the Wars of Chaos so far. Chaos Knights are just going everywhere they want, unimpeded. The White Lions are doing what they can to tear them down, but doing very, very slow work. Fireborn are broken. The Rohagrid's Pride are broken. Imric is isolated now, and he is in a lot of trouble, surrounded by Chaos Knights, and these champions could have their way with him, but seems like they have better things to do. Oh no, they're going to have their way with Imric. Imric is surrounded by those Chaos Knights. He's going to be taking a lot of damage very, very quickly, and this is looking pretty rough for the High Elves. He's got, what, 4 units? Okay, the 5th one's going to be actually, you got your infantry still alive, but at this point your infantry is pretty much helpless against the forces of all this cavalry and chariots. There's nothing they can do to stop them from just cycle charging them forever. So this is looking pretty rough for the High Elves. Imric is surrounded, and he is just getting absolutely gangbanged by these 3 Nurgle characters, just taking hit after hit after hit. We have coming in a Pit of Shades. They'll do some nice work on the Chaos Knights, but they do dodge. Nice dodge coming in, try and just help Imric out. But I think, again, without any healing to support him, without any cavalry to support him, he is going to have a bad time. He tries to run away, gets into the Marauders, but that's still in a hostile territory, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage from those characters. And now the Chaos Knights are just completely unanswered from the High Elves here. The death of Fireborn meant there was absolutely nothing to stop all this mobility from the Warriors Chaos. Chariots are free to just cycle charge the infantry. The Chaos Knights are free to just charge off anything that routes. The infantry are just left to try and run them down as fast as they can, as fast as their little elf legs will carry them, which is not fast enough. They're just being torn apart over the open field and lanced down. Imric is still being beaten on by these 2 extremely tanky characters. Mage has gotten here as well, doing what you can. I don't think there is much life left for these High Elves. Another Melkoth going down, getting some nice damage down. White Lions are killing off some of the Marauders on the periphery. The Walkers are taking a good deal of damage, but Imric is getting exceptionally low. Starlance is popped. Maybe the debuffs popped. Fleshy Abundance is going down on this character, though. Gonna get it back to full health. Nice Stream Corruption comes down. Finish off those White Lions. Chariots coming in to seal the deal. Spec army losses will be popping in, and there we go. And that'll be Green One actually tying it up. Yeah, that was not the walk build I expected. I can see it, though. Like, Chaos Knights, High Elves don't have a lot of answers to armored cavalry. It's just matching it with their own armored cavalry. And, yeah. When you bring so much with so much powerful healing from that Neurocaster, it's not a whole lot High Elves can do unless they also just bring a ton of Dragon Princes with healing. But why would you? Like, you don't expect this kind of build, at least I didn't. I expected a much more heavy infantry style play, maybe some trolls, maybe some single entities. What I didn't expect was mass armored cavalry and chariots. Like, they didn't do a whole lot of value, but they were still very healthy and still just completely unanswered. And the hero squad did very, very good work against Imric. The Marauders just got mulched. Actually, the Marauders did pretty good for the price. Marauders actually traded up pretty well, so clearly a very, very practiced and matchup that Greenland has clearly schemed quite a bit. All right, I need to fix my camera settings because I have them wrong. And back in the lobby. That's not what I wanted. All right, we got the score from the other game. So I need to go update the bracket. So we do have the scores from the other end of the bracket. Just hop over there. So as we saw, Green One defeated Rusto, and now Berserk has defeated Starvation. So after we finish up with Stingers Green One, we'll go watch JP versus Berserk, and then we'll move on to our finals after that. So, what kind of stuff are we expecting here? What did Stingers pick? So Stingers showed he was willing to play, what, Norska, Brett, Van Skaven, and then Green One had picked Cathay and Greenskins as well and banned VC. So I'll be surprised to see any of those picks come out from them. This third tiebreaker pick phase does tend to take a little bit longer, and as players tend to not be as familiar with the pick 3 matrix, I wouldn't be surprised to see it take a little bit of extra time, but we should be getting underway in just a few moments. Alright, so the semifinal is getting set up. They're going to do their picks and their builds before we get there, so hopefully when we do catch up with them, we can hop right on into the action. But what is our final map? I believe it is Pillar of Bone, which is a nice small map, which means you get some nice fast-paced brawling, maybe some more aggressive factions, maybe some Norska, maybe some, I don't know, Wars Chaos, maybe any of the Chaos factions really, maybe some Khorne, that kind of thing. Yeah, surprised to see Khorne come out. Khorne is not in a great spot right now, but any of those more aggressive factions, Beastmen, Greenskins, Norska, that kind of thing, I wouldn't be surprised to see here. You could probably get away with Cathay if you really wanted to, but it is a pretty small map, so it's quite easy to rush on this map. So I would not be at all surprised to see even Bretonnia. Yeah, Bretonnia could be quite good here too. Though Green One didn't seem interested in playing it, but Stingers is definitely considering it. Alright, well our players do their... Oh wait, I got a message. Alright, so Stingers has picked Dark Elves, Khorne, Wood Elves. Green One has picked Ogres, Counts, Greenskins. While they narrow that down, I am going to run to the restroom real quick. I will be right back. Alrighty, I have returned. Our players are still finishing up their picks, so we'll just be waiting a moment or two. So, quick recap: this is our first semifinal. It is a best of 3, so winner of this next game will be advancing to the grand finals to face off against the winner of VM Berserk and RTK Big JP, who have not yet started their game, and we'll be catching up with them as soon as we are done here. Alright, so for our tiebreaker matches, we are using a pick, 3-faction pick matrix. So both sides pick 3 factions they want. In this case, Stingers has picked Dark Elves, Khorne, and Wood Elves, and Green one has picked Ogres, Counts, and Green Skins. And then you make a matrix like so. And then they each take turns banning out matchups on this matrix until there's only one left, and that is the matchup they will play. So it does tend to take a little bit longer in the pick phase, but it also, I find, tends to result in fairly even matchups. So I like it for what you call it, a tiebreaker, rather than, you know, pick 2 ban none or another pick 3 ban 1, because I find that those do tend to favor one side or the other. Whereas this is pretty even. So and then on the other side, looks like we got Thade Dwarves waiting for us. Lovely. Cannot wait. And again, our map for our tiebreaker is Pillar of Bone. Here's to see what we end up with. I suspect Greenland's probably going to ban out a lot of the... Actually, Dark Elves seem pretty poor in this pick 3. Because let me pull it up so you guys can see. This is what we got. So, in my experience, Dark Elves have a pretty hard time into Ogres and Greenskins. Dark Elves Counts is pretty even. I've won that and I've lost that quite a bit, so I can see that one being one either player would opt into, but I feel like Dark Elves have a really hard time into Greenskins and Ogres. Ogres just destroy all of Dark Elves' infantry really, really easily, short of like Blackguard in melee. And then Blackguard get torn apart by Lead Belchers, so they have a very hard time like having any sustainable front line against Ogres. So they would have to rely on shooting, but their shooting doesn't outrange Lead Belchers, so Lead Belchers tend to counterfire most things that Dark Elves want to do. So I find that matchup pretty tough for Dark Elves. I know other people have had good success with it, with like Scourge Runner builds, with some infantry, but I find that pretty tough. Khorne? I feel like these are 3 matchups where Khorne could do okay. Khorne is not typically considered very strong, but they do have really solid Minotaurs and Anti-Large, which can do quite well into like Ogres and Counts. Greenskins might be a bit tougher, as their infantry is going to get destroyed by Squigs or Fanatics, and they can get kited by all the Skirmish Cav, and they're kind of helpless there. But against factions that don't want to kite them, which I suppose Ogres can kite them too, but like they can do okay into Counts. I can see them doing okay into Ogres, not great. But Counts could be an okay one. Greenskins might be a little tough. Ogres is doable, but not ideal. And then Wood Elves. I've seen Wood Elves do pretty good into Ogres. They have solid spears. They have a lot of shooting that does pretty good work against all the light armor of the Ogres. And then they have some decent light cav that can at least trade with Saber Tusk and put pressure on the Ogre backline, even if they can't kill it. That could be doable. Wood Elves counts is traditionally pretty Wood Elf favored. Like back in Warhammer 2, I know it was like one of the hardest counters for counts. But on a map like Pillar of Bone, where it's very, very tight, and Wood Elf cav just ain't what it used to be, if counts just come out with like 4 Black Knights, I don't know that Wood Elves can do anything about it. Wood Elves are in a pretty rough spot in land battles these days. I can see this, yeah, just counts flooding the field with cavalry being a very, very hard counter to Wood Elves. So that's probably a matchup you really want to avoid if you're Stingers here. And Wood Elves Greenskins is not one I know much about. I could see that going probably either way. Wood Elves probably win the front line engage pretty heavily. I see like War Dancer's doing very, very well there. Hey, Mr. Casual, welcome to the stream. But Cav game, again, goes pretty heavily in the Greenskins' favor. Wood Elf Cav is just complete garbage these days. I mean, Glade Riders are okay. Wild Riders are wildly overpriced. Stag Knights are okay, but again, they're super expensive. So Wood Elves really rely on infantry and archers, which means you have, if you're just infantry and archers, you have a hard time protecting those archers. Especially against a faction like Greenskins that can field so much mobility. So I'd probably favor that one to Greenskins a little bit, especially since their own shooting can do quite well against all the Wood Elf front line. So I think I'd rather be in Green One's shoes in this pick 3. Have they picked? Oh, yeah, they have picked. And I've been sitting here yapping. They are playing Khorne Counts. Not that surprised to see this one. This one is one of the ones I thought is a little more even. I can see this being a decent one for Khorne. I mean, there's no missiles to punish them. That is what Khorne really struggles against, is shutting down any kind of skirmishing. So Counts obviously don't have that, and then they have some strong blob tools of their own. The big problem here for Khorne traditionally is a Mortis engine. You need some means to kill it. Sometimes if you need people bring Scarbrand, or Skull Cannons, or Skirmish Cav, you need something to kill that Mortis engine, or it'll just destroy your whole blob, which is what Khorne tends to do here. It's just like elite infantry, halberds, sometimes chosen, usually minotaurs. You need some kind of tool to deal with the Mortis engine, and if you deal with the Mortis engine, you're usually pretty good. Like, Khorne is usually pretty fine if you can kill that Mortis engine. They do very well against all the infantry. Cryptors get destroyed by Minotaur, Grey Weapons, and then the Khorne infantry is just much better than the Emperor Count's infantry. So it's really all about shutting down that Mortis engine for Khorne. Again, in my experience. It also be a little problematic that any kind of big Dragon Lord can also be a bit troublesome for Khorne, as they don't have a very good flying presence themselves. They have some skirmish cav that could potentially pressure it, but they typically have a blob, so they can't protect that skirmish cav. You could try to use Scarbrand and Rampage it when it does land, but that's kind of risky. It kind of relies on your opponent making a misstep, which is usually not what you want to bank on in a high-stakes tournament like this. So it's a little risky, but I'm not really sure how else you deal with that lord other than just like max Khorne Horsemen, which aren't honestly a bad choice. The fire damage and the throwing axes do very, very good work against, like I said, the Mortis, the Dragons, Cryptors. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Skirmish Cav, but the problem is you have a hard time protecting them because you tend to go pretty blobby as Khorne. And if Counts bring any kind of Cav, then it's hard to deal with. So yeah, curious to see these players will approach it. And the problem for Counts there, though, is that if you do bring that cavalry, they really aren't all that useful against the Khorne blob. It tends to be a lot of pointy sticks, halberds, minotaurs that Cav aren't all that effective against. Cav is only really useful for chasing down those Skirm Cav, which they can do well, but then they have no other purpose past that. So you need to make sure you don't overcommit to the Cav and then undercommit to the blob fight. Scarbrand is your favorite flying lord? Okay. Blood for the blood god. You better. Alright. Looks like we are good to go. Getting into our tiebreaker match for first semifinal. Yeah, Counts versus Khorne, baby. Blob for the blob god, my friends. Blob for the blob god. All right. Balance of power is already favoring the counts. You either love or hate to see it, depending on your opinions of vampires. Personally, I like vampires, so, you know, as annoying as they are to play against, I am a vampire simp, so not too upset. Alright, so for Khorne, we got a Herald on a Blood Shrine. You got Revel and Slaughter for leadership melee attack and a blob. Totem of Endless Bloodline for more leadership melee attack and a blob, which is just a lot of really, really good blob buffs. We got Hellblade, we got Locus of Wrath, so just all of the blob buffs for these Minotaurs, and these Chaos Warrior Halberds, and these 2 dual weapon Chosen. Okay. Yeah, like I said, these guys are a huge problem for counts if you don't shut down them, if the Mortis engine is shut down. Which I assume there's a Mortis engine over there somewhere. We'll take a look in a second. Then we have some Marauder Horsemen, we have some Chaos Warhounds, and we have some more Marauder Horsemen. So 2 Horsemen throwing axes are really the only answer to that Dragon Lord and that Mortis engine that is indeed sitting in the back. So yeah, this is the threat to Khorne. This thing goes down, it gets a lot harder. Although the breath attacks can also be a huge issue. Having some way to actually rein in this Blood Dragon Lord could be very, very important. Got Helm of Discord, Sword of Anti-Heroes, yeah. Big threat. This Chariot Lord tends to be pretty slippery, especially with the Minotaurs to protect him. But it'll be a bit of a mini-game in and of itself. Anyway, frontline, the zombies, backed by Skeleton Spears, the Mortis, 3 Crypt Horrors, a Vargeist. Looks like we have 3 Dire Wolves, one of which is the ROR Dire Pack. Necromancer with Forbidden Rod, and just on a Corpse Cart to heal that passive. What spells we got? We got Invocation and just Raise Dead to try and saturate that blob a bit. Got Honor or Death. So yeah. All this chaff, the zombie skeletons, are just here to buy time for the Mortis, the Dragon Lord, and all that to do their job, really. The zombie skeleton's job is to die for the glory of this Blood Dragon Lord, so he can wander around, get his breath attacks, and try to find a snipe on that Herald of Khorne, and do as much as he can, the Vargeist as well. And let the dogs try and have some time to actually chase down those Skirmish Cav. Although, I'm a little curious if the dogs actually beat Khorne's Skirmish Cav, if they just charge head on, because they have really hefty, charge bonus on weapon strength in melee, and bonus for infantry, which dogs count as infantry. So I'm really quite curious who wins that trade. I suspect, counts are going to win that trade regardless, because any models that die is a lot of damage output that Khorne loses, but, even if they, quote-unquote, even the horsemen are the ones to survive and the dogs die, losing horseman models is a huge blow to this Khorne build. So, okay, Khorne, please do not waste ammo on zombies. That's the one thing you cannot do, is be on fire at will and shoot the zombies. Okay, good. They're only shooting the Mortis engine. They're not on fire at will. Love to see it. One thing I find that I like to do as Khorne here is just charge the zombies. Like I said, they're good in melee, so they do loads of damage on the front. Although that was actually a really pathetic charge, and now they are getting collapsed. So they need to pull out immediately. Get the dogs up there. Yeah, get out. It's a lot of damage to the horsemen, though. Like I said, any models that die is a lot of damage lost. So that's actually pretty brutal. The Vargeist landing, getting a ton of kills. They're terror routing, but they will rally in the backfield here and come back online. The zombies are charging the Chaos Warrior Halberds, and the Shrine Lord is just spinning to win, applying all those melee attack buffs, bringing these Khorne dual weapons up to 72 melee attack. Khorne buffs. I mean, that's what this character is so good for blob buffs for that reason. I mean, just look at these guys just shred through these zombies. These halberds and these dual weapons doing absolutely the work of the Blood God. Dogs are circling the back line, just trying to put pressure on those horsemen. The horsemen are still in line, though. Yeah, that's kind of what you want to do with the horsemen. Just play them behind your line, and if that Mortis engine gets any funny ideas, go destroy it. The Minotaurs are charging in the front. Maybe a little more cautious with them. You want to keep them on top of your infantry, make sure they don't get surrounded by Crypt Horrors or the Vargeists, which they are getting surrounded a bit right now. Keep those halberds really saturated in. And now the horsemen are pushing up as the Mortis has entered melee. Get those horsemen up here, get some damage down on that Mortis engine. Let's see how this one goes, baby. Let's see it. Give us the volley. Vargeists are landing in. Horsemen are throwing. Doing as much as they can. Trying to shut down the Mortis engine. Not super accurate. They're the Bloodguard's finest marksman, which is not saying a whole lot, but good damage down the Mortis engine. It needs to pull back, which is good. It gives Khorne more time to grind in the front line without just getting, sucked down by the Mortis suck. Another unit of Minotaurs charging from the other side. You have a nice concentrated fight in the front line. Khorne does have these chosen on the side. Also, we have... Why is this game laggy? Of all the games to be laggy, it's the blobby game. Come on, fam. Khorne Warhounds looks like they do get a nice charge on the Direwolves. Unfortunately, they are mortal, so they will rout much, much faster, despite having really nice stats. You can take out one direwolf though. That'll be good and keep those horsemen alive. The Lord is coming in for the snipe. He has Sword of Anti-Heroes pop. He's got a million weapon strength. He's got a janky-ass animation. Zombie summon coming down, but this, like I said, the Motorcycle Lord is pretty slippery. He's got 0 melee defense, though, so he needs to get the heck out of dodge, circle back into his infantry units, get the Minotaurs to peel him off. But if he gets surrounded, if the Lord goes down this early, that could be devastating for Khorne. Locust of Wrath is popped, or no, Horde of Khorne is popped. There's a lot of melee attack on these guys, but the Minotaurs need to get in there and bail them out. And here come the Minotaurs. Here come the linebackers of Khorne to just bail out their Lord. Don't chase Crypt Horrors. Bail out your Lord. Do not lose your Lord. He has healing, but it's not enough. That Lord has almost 1,000 weapon strength. It's devastating. You gotta get your Herald out there. Get the Minotaurs back in there, Khorne. Okay, there's Halberds trying. He is getting very, very low, and he's demonic, so if he gets too low in leadership, he will crumble immediately. The horsemen are taking out the dogs pretty effectively, but again, they're losing a lot of health and models in the meantime. The Mortis Engine is fighting Minotaurs, not where it wants to be, but the Khorne Lord is crumbling. And the Breath Attack comes in on top of the horsemen, doing tons of damage. Tons of damage. Okay, the Khorne Lord is free. He's fighting dogs, he's healing up. That is the Vampire Count's mobility core removed. Come on, get the Minotaurs on top of him. Get the Minotaurs. Save your Lord, Khorne! Khorne! Come on, Stingers! Get the Minotaurs over there. Okay, the Minotaurs are in. The Lord's taking damage. The Vargheists are trying to jump in as well. Zombie Summon coming in to try and provide some chaff. The Motorcycle Lord does seem to be safe for the moment. This guy is taking a lot of damage. There are Minotaurs out here chasing the Mortis, which is crumbling. That's the Mortis down. Counts are up a bit of value with the healing as well. That's probably not super great, but a lot of that is on this Motorcycle Lord. It's about 1,500 value on the Lord. But there is very, very little to actually threaten this Dragon Lord now. The Skirmish Cav are in tatters. These ones are dead. These ones are being chased off. These direwolves crumble. Okay, the direwolves crumble. These guys might have a chance to rally. That could be some good damage coming back from Khorne. The Minotaurs are getting isolated by the Vargheists, though, so Halberds are coming to help them out, doing what they can. If you take the Vargheists, a lot of mobility control lost. The Mortis is being invocation, but it is still crumbling. Oh, no, it does. No, it's still crumbling, so it's in a lot of trouble. The Blob fight is, of course, going very, very well for Khorne, the buffs, but the Dragon Lord is coming back for round 2. Locust of Wrath is popped, but that is nothing to this guy. The Motorcycle Lord is no threat to him. But there are more Minotaurs here and Halberds to try and bail out the Motorcycle Lord. Minotaurs are taking down these Crypt Horrors, and the Vargheists have died off. It's really just that dragon. That dragon has to do a lot of heavy lifting for Vampire Counts. It's got a lot of HP left, but these Minotaurs and Halberds were doing a lot of work to it. They've got so much melee attack from all these buffs, doing tons and tons of damage to it. It's just dying very quickly, and it doesn't have the largest HP pool to begin with. Crypt Horrors are coming in to bail it out, though. The Khorne infantry are starting to get worn down, but there are some very healthy Halberds, and the Chosen are still just grinding. They're still above half HP. They've got 91 melee attack right now. They're tearing apart these Crypt Horrors with their fire damage, but the Lord... No! The Motorcycle Lord! No! Stingers! That Lord is like the linchpin of this build. It's all the buffs you need to actually take out these Crypt Horrors. He's dying off. There's still a lot of very healthy Halberds and nothing actually infantry-sized left to saturate them. But he is crumbling away. And that is going to be Khorne losing its Lord. Oh no, Relentless Rage popped. He's unbreakable. If he can get back in away from the Lord and actually heal up a bit, he could actually survive this. Actually, that might be the most clutch thing I've seen. If he actually heals up and stabilizes... Okay, no, wore off, he died. But these are still some very elite units. They're not going to rout immediately on their own. It's a lot of Halberds. Very, very healthy still. But the Dragon Lord is very healthy and still has 2 breath attacks, I think? Yeah, the 2 breath attacks are now. He just has complete pick of the lot. Doing as much work as he can. What's his breath attack like? That's not that devastating. The leadership is failing for Khorne. So I get very, very low leadership. They are not ITP. The Dragon Lord may rout them off here, and if that Terror Rout comes in, yeah, the Halberds cannot stand on their own. There's still a unit of Chosen over here. They're doing what they can. 306 kills and no value. Feels counts, man. But with those Terror Routs coming in and no answer to this Dragon Lord, that will be counts taking the day, and Green One advancing to our finals. Valiant attempt from Stingers. Taking a lot of damage to that Lord very early. Really, really hurt him. Did a good job training the Mortis Engine, but he needed to keep his Skirmish Cav alive to actually pressure that Dragon Lord. The Dragon Lord was just completely free to do whatever he wanted, and that was, the death knell for Khorne. Yeah, I mean, the Minotaurs did excellent work. The Horsemen did okay. The Halberds did well. The Chosen didn't do a whole lot, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like Khorne just need like one, maybe one Fleshhound, just the RR Fleshhound, like drop a Halberd or something, grab the RR Fleshhound, and can actually start trading with these dogs. Do it on a lot better. But again, you don't know if he's going to go for more Cav and actually like win the mobility fight. 'Cause that's the thing. If Counts want to win the mobility fight, they just can. They can just choose to invest more into it than Khorne reasonably can, and just win. And the Lord Snipe is brutal. The Dragon Lord is just, the Blood Dragon Lord is just so good at killing those single entity characters. So really, really hard to keep that Motorcycle Lord alive. That is green one advancing to our finals. Let me update the bracket. So, look at our bracket. Got what Stingers won the first one, then green one won the next two. Full on reverse sweep. Wait, what do you mean? Challenge, fix your shit. Alright, and now we are headed to the other side of the bracket to take a look at JP and Berserk. Did they send me a lobby code? Get our blocker back up. We can vacate this, and where's the other lobby? I found a lobby called Big JP. I assume that's the one. Alright. So, on this side we have Big JP. And on this side we have Berserk. And like I said, they've been doing picks and bans and builds while we were watching other games, so they are good to go just about. And I can reset the scores, and we are in for Cathay Dwarves on Peak Path. This was JP's pick. He picked Ogres, Dark Elves, Cathay, banned Brett. Berserk answered with Dwarves, banned Dark Elves, and now we have Cathay versus the Dawi. One of the slowest matchups in the game that isn't just a melee grind. So typically, Dwarves really can't outshoot Cathay. The prevalence of the Cathay Ancestral Warrior summon that can just be dropped on artillery at will means that Dwarves are typically forced to rush Cathay, which is what we have right here. So I'm curious to see how JP is going to answer that rush. Cathay is about to dominate the land battle. I've met even more. Yeah, well, DLCs tend to have that effect on a lot of factions. Doesn't help that Cathay is already really good in land battles. So fortunately, it doesn't look like much of what they have is like more infantry or more just missile units that are just going to box super hard. It was like a lot of single entities, wasn't it? I think it was a lot of single entities. So, for Cathay, we have the mandatory 5 Jade Warriors, we have 5 Peasant Long Spears, we have 4 Crane Guns, a Fire Rain Rocket, a Shugi Lord with Talons of the Night and Storm of Shadows, and 2 Peasant Horsemen. A lot of Crane Guns. We got, for the Dwarves, we have 2 Brimstone Guns. We have a basic Rune Lord with Rune of Slowness and Wrath and Ruin, as well as Master Rune of Gruntangi for some Missile Resist Aura, and the Rune of Hearth and Home for that Vigor Refresh and ITP. We got some Quarrelers in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4 Quarrelers, a front line of Dwarf Warriors, just basic ones, no Grey Weapons, and then 4 Slayers, 2 on the other flank. And then we have a Vanguard of Triple Miners. This is typically, so what I've typically seen from Dwarves is just like full infantry rush with maybe a couple of Rangers. Long beard Grey Weapons, Dwarf Warrior Grey Weapons, Miners, Blasting Charges, a couple of Slayers. Actually investing this much into these Gyros and these Quarrelers, I think is going to be a detriment. Like, those Gyros can get torn apart by those Crane Guns. 4 Crane Guns will destroy Gyros, as well as having that Lord. Is the Lord flying? The Lord doesn't look to be on a long one. Okay, the Lord's on a horse, which isn't as big a problem for the Gyros, but Crane Guns and Jails, like that type of unit, typically excels at killing Gyros. So unless Berserk is like on top of his micro and dodging every single shot, I think these Gyros are going to have a really, really rough time. Now, what I expect he'll do is probably like keep it on the flanks and try to pick apart cavalry. These are the anti-large variant, the Brimstone Guns, so that's what I expect to be seeing. But I'm curious to see exactly how he intends to pilot these. Alrighty. Zhao Mei's item looks incredibly toxic in the mouse. Did they give Zhao Mei a new item? I don't remember. Croman seemed like, Croman seemed pretty good too. Alright. JP is spacing out quite a bit. Part that he doesn't get Harmony, which I guess makes sense. I mean, the Jade Warriors are just roadblocks for these Crane Guns. You don't want the Crane Guns to be that close to the front line. But at the same time, it means they won't hold very long because they don't have that extra melee defense from the Harmony. This is a very, very spaced out Cathay build, though. which I guess makes sense. Dwarves are very, very slow. Just exploit that by spreading out super far apart. Make them have to come and chase crane gunners in every which way. Because really what it's going to be pretty kitey. Although crane guns are not that fast compared to like Skaven Jezzails, which are typically seen in this kind of matchup where dwarves have to rush the Skaven Jezzails. And they have a hard time because Jezzails are so fast, but crane guns don't have the same speed, so they're going to have a hard time actually staying away from those dwarf warriors. They really have to just shoot them on approach. Also, I missed, we have some peasant archers for the harmony. That makes sense. Double 32% heal. Oh, lovely. Heal caps if he's in dragon form. Yeah, but if he's in dragon form, he's useless anyway, because Cathay dragons suck and can't hit anything. So, 4%. Again, I mean, you can't kill him, but he can't kill anything. He's a Cathay dragon. They suck so much. So, Alright, and our second semifinal is underway. So what else do we have here? We have Jade Amulet just for the extra Warhammer charge. Okay. Well, I do like the addition of the slow to try and, buy some space to your crane gunners to run away if they do get into your backline. Miners are being a little bit cheeky over here in the trees. Wouldn't mind seeing, Cathay horsemen to come over here and scout to check the trees, since that is pretty common tactic on this map, to vanguard in the trees where you cannot be seen. Gyros are advancing pretty far on either flank. What if they're just they're probably just scouting. They can see the whole Cathay formation from here. Oh, this should be pretty much revealed to Cathay at this point, or to dwarves. They can see everything. And now they are just bringing their slow, inexorable march towards, well, either death or glory, or both. March, you little green dwarves. Why are they green? The faction banner is blue. Why is this green? I don't like this green. This is a bad green. The faction banner is blue. Like, that's one of the best faction banners, and it's blue. Why are you showing up green? Fire and Rocket has done 0 damage on its first volley. Nice. You love to see it. Petty Pack Dwarven formations are pretty good out of, it's kind of very win or lose. Like, either you hit and you do tons of damage, or you just completely miss and do 0. Another volley coming in, and he hits, Nope. Oh, we got a hit. We got a hit. And we killed 0 dwarves, but did like 300 damage, so Crane gunners are going to be opening up fire soon. The tree cover is going to be doing loads of work for the dwarves, keeping them alive as long as possible. Crane guns are shifting around as we do see those slayers coming in over the top. Slayers are serving the role of cavalry for dwarves in this kind of a matchup, so you want to kind of take them out quickly to reduce their mobility control, and then your crane gunners can kite forever, theoretically. At the moment, we're going to be doing tons and tons of work to these slayers on the approach. Very, very cost-effective. Just shoot these elite unarmored infantry. They do have shields, technically, from Whirling Axes. Yeah, I was going to say, they have some effect. Peasant long spears are not what slayers want to be fighting, so they're just going to run away. Makes sense. Really don't want to get in that engagement. Crane gunners are firing in on the quarrelers. You want to make sure they can't just take apart your peasant long spears and destroy your lines right away. Miners have emerged from the forest and now are advancing on the peasant long spears and the Jade Warriors. They are a big threat. Those blasting charges do tear apart those lightly armed infantry, so be careful. So we got a Rune of Wrath and Rune coming in the peasant archers. They do some nice... Wow, that did a lot of damage. Jeez, that was a big one. Crane gunners just plinking away at the quarrelers. They're not exchanging fire, but they are silver shielded and shield breaking themselves. They do some pretty good work there. Got 6 and Dwarf Warriors caught in on some Jade Warriors. Slayers are into the backfield now. Peasant Horsemen are here to intercept, but they aren't going to last very long against the Slayers. Peasant Archers are just going to be sacrificed to the Dragon Emperor, I suppose, for the Dragon Emperor, as the Slayers do just tear into them, doing a lot of work very quickly. As the Peasant Archers are not much of a melee unit. Peasant Horsemen charging Slayers actually do surprisingly good damage. They need to not stay in there, or they would get torn apart by those elite anti-large infantry. Value trade is going pretty evenly. Crane Gunners are just being pressured pretty heavily and not allowed to fire. The gyros are still online, actually doing a pretty good job at plinking away on the crane gunners. Taking some damage, so we got a slow going down as well. Some good damage there, but they are turning their backs to the quarrelers, who have worn them down very, very quickly. Fire and Rockets still firing in, doing what they can against the quarrelers. But this is looking honestly pretty good for the Dawi. The Dawi tide is strong and just preventing a lot of the crane gunners from firing. Crane gunners, like I said, they're not as fast as Jezzails. They can't reposition and keep shooting. This is why when I play this matchup, I like Iron Hails a lot better. I'll bring like 1 crane gunner or 2. And they'll bring out like 4 Iron Hails, and they just have so much better burst damage, they can actually stop the dwarves in their tracks. Now we do a snipe coming in on the Rune Lord. Not a very tanky boy, so 2 crane gunners shooting at him will take him down pretty quickly. You'd be a little bit careful about this if you're Berserk. He's trying his best to juke, but dwarves are not fast. They are really not fast, and he's not even fast for a dwarf. So taking a lot of damage. The quarrelers, again, turning your backs to the quarrelers, it means these crane gunners are going down very, very quickly. They're really relying on those shields. The gyros is welcoming in the back. Do we get a nice bombing run on these archers? Give us a bombing run, Berserk. And now he's got better things to do. He's going right for those crane gunners, doing what he can. Rune of Slowness coming in to make sure that those miners can catch them, despite their slightly inferior speed. The gyros are actually going right into melee to make sure those crane gunners can't fire at the miners in the approach. And with all the crane gunners shut down like this is looking pretty rough for the forces of Cathay. And they have very little killing power in melee, really relying on these crane gunners. They are all being shut down with lots and lots of ammo left in the tank. The Shugi Lord is fighting the Rune Lord, and that's a fight I suspect she'll win. He is very low, but he is running off. The Dwarf Warriors are trying to intercept. I don't think a Lord Snipe at this stage is going to be enough for Cathay to come back, and there's still a lot of very healthy dwarves. Jade Warriors and Peasant Longspears are very far out of position, and the crane gunners are all being shut down pretty handily by those gyros and those miners. Slayers as well still alive, and Peasant Bowmeners being torn apart by all of these quarrelers. Yep. Good damage coming from the quarrelers, tearing apart all the lightly armored Cathayan infantry. The Rune Lord is still being focused down by the Shugi Lord. He's getting pretty low, 1200 HP, but the Shugi Lord is being surrounded by miners and Dwarf Warriors and taking loads of damage in return herself. Balance of power is starting to favor the dwarves as they are just able to free fire with all these quarrelers and just take apart any of these lightly armored Cathayan infantry units at their leisure. The miners and slayers continue to run down those crane gunners off in the distance. The gyros take apart the calves, so there is no mobility control left for Cathay. And this is not with a bang, but with a whimper. Cathay goes down ever so slowly to the inexorable tide of the dwarves. Don't think there's a whole lot of hope, but this is probably the slowest matchup in the game, so we may be here a while. Gyros are now trying to shoot down the Jagged-Blade Shugi Lord, doing the best they can. The Rune Lord is still very, very low. There's not really any threats here at the moment. The Cathay forces are dwindling. Looks like all of their Harmony sources have been routed off. The Crane Gunners are leaving, the Peasant Archers are leaving. Even the Fire and Rocket is being chased down. Kringer is taking some pot shots at the gyros. I don't think they're able to take them down just yet. There are some Slayers in the midst of them, just taking them apart one at a time as they try to ignore them. Ignore the short, angry Mohawk man with dual axes, but it is not to be. They are forced to run off. Yep. At this point, I see very, very few Cathayan forces left on the field. Some Kringers have rallied in the back, trying to take out those gyros. But there are just so many healthy dwarves, so many Slayers left on the field. I don't see the Jade Warriors actually killing them. These guys have been fighting since like the beginning of the game. Like the Jade Warrior versus Dwarf Warrior frontline fight is so slow. They've been fighting for like 4 minutes at least. The Shugi Lord is routing. I suspect the gyros will take the opportunity to chase her off, do as much damage to her as they can. Crane Gunners are being routed off by these gyros as well. Wow, they really just hated that one guy in the middle. They focus fired this one gunner and just absolutely obliterated them. That's very rude. What did he do to your family? Was he specifically in the book, not the unit? Just that one dude was in the book for something? Guess so. Shugi Lord is being chased off, and yeah, Cathay is out of luck there, so understandable to tap out. Yeah, I don't know if I feel great about the 4 Crane Gunner build. Again, for Skaven, a Quad Giselle build is like fine, because they're fast enough to kite, but Crane Gunners are so much slower, the dwarves can actually catch them effectively, so I don't really like it. I don't like the Fire Rain either. Like, it just doesn't have the time to actually like get its value. I mean, it's great if the dwarves box, but dwarves, I've never seen a dwarf player box in this matchup. They have to rush. So, I think if I were doing this, I'd probably go a little lighter on the Crane Gun, maybe 1 Crane Gun. Then I'd bring like all of my Iron Hails, a couple of crossbows maybe, and some actual armored calves, some Jade Lancers to go and actually run down the Quarrelers. Like, Jade Lancers can actually do, when Jade Lancers are uncontested, they can actually do a lot of work just cycle charging, especially against missile units. So you bring like 1 or 2 Jade Lancers and they bring Rangers or Quarrelers, they have to actually stay back and protect them or they're just going to lose them. So I quite like a couple of Jade Lancers in this matchup. And that is Berserk taking an early lead. Now, we are at 1 versus sweep day. Can our boy JP bring it back? Alright, what do you guys... Are you just talking about the new patch in chat? No, yeah. 30 seconds of 4% ward save. The new Lord has a net, which is pretty good. Yeah, Missile Factions getting nets is always strong. Also, so tomorrow night around 7:30 EST, I will be streaming on the new patch, just showcasing all the changes I can find. I'll just be in custom battles with AI, showing off everything that got buffed or nerfed or changed, or all the new stuff. So if you guys are interested in seeing all the new stuff on the new patch, please check it out. And it'll be 7:30 EST tomorrow night. So about 27 hours from now, I'll be doing that. and I'll be looking at whatever you guys want. So if you guys have questions in chat about what you want to see, I will be happy to look at that stuff. So please come hang out. I'm looking forward to it. Alright, so Berserk picked Ogres, Zinch, Korn, Ban High Elves. And we're waiting on JP's response, and I am going to run and get a drink of water real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, and we have picks. We have Dark Elves, Zinch. So yeah, it was Berserk picks Ogres, Zinch, Korn, Ban High Elves. JP goes Dark Elves, Ban Ogres. And Berserk goes Zinch. Okay. So, Zinch on the current patch is not particularly strong. They tend to rely on a lot of kiting play with single entities, with Kairos and Blue Fire, as well as Soul Grinders, and just kiting and regrowthing those single entities. Their melee builds tend to be a little underwhelming. Their frontline is fine, but their mobility, aggressive mobility, is not super great. especially anti-infantry options. The Screamers are okay against cavalry. They have nothing that can really flank and punish infantry, aside from Chaos Knights, which are quite expensive, and vulnerable to all of the anti-large armor piece and cavalry of the Dark Elves. So I don't expect to see a lot of that, as well as that Tzeentch shooting tends to suffer from all the Dark Elf Silver Shield, kind of like we saw in the Kislev game earlier. The Silver Shield to Dark Elf negate a lot of skirmish potential from Skirmish Cav or Horrors. So I'm not really sure what we're going to be seeing out of the Tzeentch players today. I haven't seen a lot of Tzeentch in land battles. I expect we will be seeing a lot going forward once the new patch comes out. But in the current patch, I don't exactly know what the go-to strategies are, so curious to see if he goes for another Chaos Knight build like we saw from Green One earlier. But I'd be a little more suspect of that when Cold War Knights are on the table, because I expect they'll trade up very, very heavily into Chaos Knights. So I'm very curious to see what Berserk has in plan. Alright. Both players have their builds ready, which I appreciate, which means we are good to go. They are on Galbaraz, a nice open map for any kite enjoyers. Which both these factions are often kite enjoyers, so. Honestly, this is not the Tzeentch build I expected to be seeing. I realize the blocker is still up. I will lower it in just a moment once we load in. Alright. Wow, we have some gamers. We loaded in so fast. Alright, Dark Elves. Dragon Lord. You know, Noxious Breath, Soul Stealer, Opal Amulet. The most standard lord for Dark Elves these days. Frontline, Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, all that Silver Shield infantry. Backed up by 4 Black Corsair Handbows, 2 Scourge Runner Chariots, and 2 Cold One Knights. So, pretty kitey built from the Dark Elves, where they want to skirmish with the Handbows and the Scourge Runners. I'm just going to give space and back up. But that'll be kind of hard to do, because we have nothing but Horrors. Frontline of, 4 Blue Horrors, including the ROR, backed up by, or 5 Blue Horrors, excuse me, and then 4 Pink Horrors backing it up. And there's also 4 Chaos Knights of Tzeentch, one of which is Lances, a Screamer, and a Sorcerer Lord of Metal with Plague of Rust and Searing Doom, and Sword of Change for that Chaos Spawn summon. I suspect Plague of Rust can be for those Cav duels, help them actually trade effectively into those Cold One Knights. That could be very, very effective. But all these Horrors, I feel like these Horrors are going to have a hard time killing these Bleak Swords. I think Bleak Swords are going to trade up very heavily into the Blue Horrors and the Pink Horrors. So the Chaos Knight's going to be pretty active to actually run down that infantry before they get a chance to engage in melee, because I expect Dark Elves are very heavily favored in that melee engage, as Tzeentch has all these very squishy hybrid units. The utility depends on who is playing Tzeentch, that's also true, yeah. But here we go. Yeah, this is very much not the Tzeentch build I expected to be seeing. I did not expect mass Horrors. Like, in my experience, Dark Elves have a hard time killing those Silver Shield Chaos Warriors, so I expect to see quite a few of those. Not this. Now, they do outrange the Handbows pretty heavily, even the Blue Horrors outrange them. Corsair Handbows have armor, but I find that doesn't protect them a ton. Even though these guys are lightly armored, or non-AP rather, they do hit plenty hard, so they tend to trade very, very well into the low HP pools of the Corsair Handbows. Skirmish Fire going in, just trying to waste some ammo from the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. If he gets hit, he's just taking, you know, tiny little chip damage on his shield, so he's really not losing anything as Tzeentch, just wasting the Dark Elf ammo. Yeah, Dark Elves want to back off and not waste ammo on that. Screamer's going to be doing the same thing. Just waste as much ammo as possible. Especially when your army is all these lightly armored Horrors, you want to make sure there's not a lot of this lightly armored light AP shooting to really waste usage, waste as much of their ammo as possible. Of course, Screamers have a lot more surface area to hit, so you need to be a bit more careful about that ammo. The Chaos Knights are going to be a bit of a threat, though. Like, there are only 2 Cold One Knights that catch them. The Scourge Runners can do good work to them, but not, like, stop them in their tracks. Not going in on those Screamers, try and take them down while their barrier is down. Good choice. These Chariots can be a little bit careful about being shot by these Horrors, though, as they will do pretty decent damage if they manage to connect. Be a bit careful there. The skirmishing shall continue, my friends. I expect the Dark Elves are going to want to try and close to melee a bit more quickly, as they are favored in that trade, so expect the Bleak Sword to be turning out pretty soon. This is a good strategy, though, like, get all these Handbows in the same spot, focus fire them. So while they are massively outgunned, if all these Horrors are over here on the flanks, they can actually all focus fire on the same Handbow, like the Handbows can do to this Horror. They back up and just take a volley without actually sending a volley of their own. There we go, there's the volley of their own. Half the barrier gone. These barriers make it so hard to skirmish against Tzeentch. It's just such a slow pace. The barriers are going down, and these Bleak Swords, I feel like, need to advance. They're just going to sit here and get shot. And they have silver shields. Now the advance comes in. Going to try to run down those blue horrors. Do the horrors just kite? Are the horrors going to kite the whole time? Yes, they are. Kite, baby! Kiting for as long as we can. And as these Bleak Swords advance, the Chaos Knights are going to come in and punish them, I suspect. Just run them over. The Coldwood Knights will try to countercharge, but the Coldwood Knights are very, very far from where they need to be. Way over here in the corners means that their center is completely vulnerable to this Chaos Knight charge, which is exactly what's coming in from Berserk. Doing very, very good damage. And like I was saying earlier, Dark Elf infantry is made of paper. Oh, now they're taking the cav charge, and do we have Plague of Rust coming in? There's the Plague of Rust. They're down to 30 armor, which means they will trade very, very poorly in these Chaos Knights. Searing Doom as well coming down. The magic is just all about winning the cav duel and just securing the kite ability for Berserk. Cold Knights are just being destroyed. Bleak Swords coming in to try... Red Spears, rather, trying to come in support. The Chaos Knights have just destroyed this fight. Scourge Runners are trying to shoot him, but their damage output is just too slow. The Lord, as well, is landing on that one Chaos Knight in particular, trying to ruin him, but the battle is won, as far as Tzeentch is concerned. They killed the cav. That's really what they want to do. They want to have mobility superiority, so they can kite forever with all of these horrors. That's how we do with Cold Knights coming in the side. The problem with Cold Knights is, though, they do very, very poorly in infantry. They're really reliant on the anti-large bonus, so they can stop these pinks from shooting, but they can't do a whole lot to kill them, and now the Chaos Knights are coming in for a countercharge of their own. Pinks are just free-firing. The horrors are dying in melee with Bleak Swords, though, but it's a little too late. The Spawn Summon comes down on the Spears. The Soul Seer goes down. The Screamers and Knights have dogpiled onto this Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Not the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, the Scream Sorceress. And she is taking a lot of damage from the Screamers. Tzeentch says it's up a lot in value, but I feel like a lot of that is on barriers. Tzeentch seems to be in a very, very heavy lead at this point. They killed off the cavalry. They killed off some of these infantry. The horrors are taking pretty heavy casualties from, not sure what exactly. I guess it's the shooting from the Corsair handbows. The pink horrors do plenty of damage. Oh no, they're all blobbed up. The Chaos Knights are going to shut down all of this shooting. That's devastating. All of the skirmishers are just in one big blob here, which means that one Chaos Knight with very few models left can just shut down all of the shooting, which is huge, huge value for Tzeentch. The Lord is taking down the Screamers and the Spawn pretty much single-handedly. More Chaos Knights are going to come in and try and contain that dragon for as long as you can. But the Bleak Spears have broken through the blue horrors, and now they can get a free line into the back line. Coldwood Knights are in the back, trying to run away from those Chaos Knights. Don't really want that fight. Sorcerer Lord is actually pretty far off, so you could maybe get away with it without getting Plague of Rusted, but not at this time exactly. Chaos Knights are being routed off by the Scourge Runners. Dragon Lord is trying to get airborne. The Chaos Knights do break off pursuit, and the Screamers as well. You realize they do have a lot of support. Scourge Runners are still healthy as well. The pink horrors are now being disrupted by just one Bleak Sword. It's the exact same mistake we just saw Dark Elves make. Now Tzeentch is making it. One infantry is just blocking off all those guys. There's another Plague of Rust coming down on the Cav fight, which means the Coldwood Knights are going to trade very, very poorly into the Chaos Knights. And that's absolutely brutal for Dark Elves. That's completely loss of your mobility advantage. Scourge Runners are helping. They're plinking away, but their damage output is just not that fast. What is that coming down to? Is Bolt of Change? This is Tzeentch Army ability, tier 2. You never see that. It's almost always the tier 3. It did a little bit. The skirmishers are just taking out the Chaos Knights, but they really need to start pushing forward and getting rid of these horrors. They still have a lot of ammo, still a massive threat. The dragon is trying to take out some of these horrors as much as they can with Chromatic Abominations. Get rid of that ROR, the Bleak Spears are headed in. Yeah, again, Tzeentch, it says Dark Elves are so far ahead in value, but it doesn't feel like it. This feels like neck and neck. With the Cav duels going poorly. Oh, lots of damage on this Lord. The Soul Seer coming in, the Scourge Runner's firing in, but he's dodging pretty effectively. The Coldwood Knights are dying out, but now the skirmishers are all coming in to punish the Chaos Knights, who do have bronze shields and 120 armor, so they'll do pretty well here. But again, they aren't armor piercing, so these skirmishers are fairly resilient to their shots, and the Scourge Runners are just plinking away and dragging them down through the mud. Just a hail of non-armor piercing arrows just trying to take down these Chaos Knights. Dark Elf Infantry Corps is all but gone at this point. Bleak Swords have run out. There's still a lot of pinks with a lot of ammo, which is huge for this Dragon Lord. He does still have multiple Soul Stealers available to them, plenty of healing to go. Breath attack? No breath attack. Cool, the skirmishers are still doing alright. Good dodge on the Searing Doom from Big JP. The Screamers are trying to chase down the Lord. The Chaos Knights are piling in. And this is actually really bad. I don't think Soul Steal is available. I think we have it on cooldown still. This is a huge catch from Tzeentch. The pink horrors are firing in. The Chaos Knights surrounding. This could be game winning. If this Dragon Lord goes down, you need a Soul Stealer. The Plague of Rust upgrade down to 30 armor. These pinks can tear it apart. That could be game winning for Tzeentch. This Dragon Lord is down. Okay, there's a Soul Stealer. It's going to be big. But is it enough? This Lord is still in a lot of trouble. The animation dodges. That's huge. That's huge. The Soul Stealer is not healing enough, though. It's doing tons of damage to the Chaos Knights. There's just no support. This Dark Elf frontline is just gone. Despite the value, again, the value is lying to us. The Dark Elf frontline is gone. All they have left is the skirmishers. They're doing what they can to shoot in, but this Lord is routing. And the Chaos Sorcerer should be able to chase it off for the rest of the game. Just chase off the map, make sure it can't come back. No healing if you don't cast Soul Stealers. You can't do if you're routing. So the skirmishers are just running away, but the pinks are just free firing, and this is looking like, you know, a death knell for the Dark Elves. I think Tzeentch has got this. Skirmishers are just firing on the Lord. A counter Lord set could be pretty good here, but the Chaos Knights are still strong. The pink horrors still have lots of ammo, and the Corsair handbows are pretty good in melee, but not when they don't have HP. The Screwdrivers as well, they're fine in melee, but there's a lot of horrors here to take down. The Lord rallies. There's still at least 2 Soul Stealers available. There is some healing available, so Dark Elves aren't out of this yet, but they're certainly not in a good spot. And the Chaos Knights coming in, the barriers all replenishing for the pink horrors is just devastating. Skirmish fire coming in, but pinks, like I said, they do just fine at the low HP pools. Scourge will run out of ammo, which means now they are just pure melee chariots. They'll do quite well in the pink horrors. Pink horrors have very, very low mass, so they will run through them just fine, especially with the spread formations. Problem is they'll take a lot of damage from all that missile fire on the approach. But they can do a lot of work against this infantry. The Chaos Knights are here to intercept. They won't be able to have their time in the cookie jar, unfortunately. Chaos Knights are intercepting. The Lord is coming in to try and help, but the Lord really needs to just be safe until that Soul Stealer comes back off cooldown and gets some HP back. Yeah, the Dark Elf army is in tatters. Just a couple of skirmishers, and these Chaos Knights are just unanswered. There's just nothing to stop them. Plague of Rust going down the Lord again to try and have the pink horrors finish it off. She's wavering, she's 8 leadership, and if she routs, it's game. The game is immediately over, I think. There'll be army losses instantly. Yeah, there's the rout, there's the army losses. And that is Berserk taking a swift 2-0 and advancing to our finals to face the green one. Still very, very well played by Big JP. That's a very tricky Tzeentch build to play against, so especially since I imagine you don't know it's coming, so you know, damping on the fly, he didn't do that bad. The value is just lying to us though. Like, yeah, well played, very, very well played to our players, and now we shall advance to the finals here. Yeah, Scourge Runners did okay. Cold One Knights absolutely shut down. Like, Berserk had one plan in mind, it was shut down the Cold One Knights, have mobility control, and then you can just kite forever. And I mean, that's a solid plan for any kite build, so he executed it very, very well, and then, you know, all agency was removed from the Dark Elves. So, very, very smart play. He had a very clear idea for his build, and he executed it well. A lot of Chaos Knights today. A lot of Chaos Knights today. Can't say I'm that upset. Alright, let's get green one in here. Let's get our blocker back up. And let's reset the nameplates. Oh no, what did I do with the nameplates? Oh no! There, I think that's where they're supposed to be. Alright, so we've got... Oh wait, Berserker's on this side now. Why is Berserker on this side now? Oh, that's much too big. That is much too big. Alright. So, finals are a best of 5. And I will tell you what the map pool is as soon as I'm done updating these banners. Alrighty. So yeah, best of 5, pick system is the same. We'll just repeat round 1, 2 for 3 and 4. The tiebreaker is the same matrix pick system. And the maps are Shagrath Strand, Schwarzhofen, Cliff of Beast, the Reichland Estates, Gorgazan. And now we are awaiting the picks. Actually, can I? Okay. Alright. Asking the players to keep me informed about what they're picking. Now we wait. How much did value remaining instead of value gained? Probably taking account things like barrier routing units healing. can see that. I know the spectator mod that we sometimes use has that, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Probably a little bit more reliable, but it would also fluctuate more because, like, does it count routing units? Does it count shattered units? Because, like, if it doesn't count routing or shattered units, then as soon as they rally, then their value spikes, and it's kind of like disingenuous, especially for, like, low leadership factions like Skaven or Greenskins who are routing all the time and coming back. It's like, well, do you just count routing units that might not be relevant, or do you not count them? And I mean, it's probably better, but it's still not perfect. Yeah, it would do much better for representing healing though, and barrier, which would be quite nice. All right, so we have made it to the finals, and we have not seen Brett a single time, which I'm kind of surprised by given how strong they are. I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming out, but so far I've seen a lot of picks I didn't expect because I saw some Tzeentch, we saw some Khorne. Did not expect to see those. We saw some Cathay, some Dwarves. Less surprised by those. Well, yeah, curious to see what they will pick for our finals. I don't know too much about these players. I know Berserk, it does enjoy things like Tzeentch and Counts and those more like slow methodical styles. And when I played Green One, he typically favors more defensive styles like Cathay or Skaven or Dwarves. Actually, I don't know if I've seen him play Dwarves, but I've seen him play Cathay and Skaven. So curious to see how those match up a little bit. So we got ogres out of Berserk, perhaps. First ogres of the day. We got ogres Bretonia, maybe. Oh, we have an ogre mirror. Oh god, this is the sweatiest matchup of all time. Ogres are so sweaty, literally and figuratively. Oh god, what do you do in an ogre mirror? Imagine lead belchers suck because they kill infantry and don't kill monster infantry that well. So maybe you bring. Do you bring shooting or just rush? I could see both ways going fine. I mean, I imagine there's no world where you don't bring 5 trappers. Like, do you bring pistols? Do you bring an iron blast? Do you bring anything like that? Because I can see an iron blast doing really well into ogre bulls. They appear well in monster infantry at close range. They do well into ogre cav, or do you just go full out rush? So I think that's the 2 options. Like, either you kite with an iron blaster or pistols, or you just rush. Yeah, that's what I expect. Like the 2 options are in this matchup. So I remember way back in the day, like right after launch, when ogres were busted, we played the ogre mirror a ton. And I remember you actually brought you brought beast casters most of the time because you cast was it Curse of Anhuir and Wissen's Wild Form overcast in AoEs to make sure you win the frontline fight in what was otherwise a mirror, like Ogre Bull and Ogre Bull. So we could sway that frontline fight, and you would win it pretty heavily by casting those buffs or debuffs. So I'm curious if we something like that, or if we do go from those more elite Trollgut centered builds, like things like Sky Striders, or I doubt we'd see a Stonehorn. It would probably be the Sky Striders or Crushers if we're bringing Trollguts builds, or if we will go for more Beastcasters, which I would like to see those kind of buffs. I really like those kind of like not super standard uses of magic that you see because ogres don't have a ton of options for magic. So, and in a specific niche of in a mirror, having advantage in the front line is a big deal. Also, please, for the love of God, can you 2 pick different banners? Thank you, Berserk. Thank you. All right. I like it. I like it. Alright. We are good to go. So I'm kind of pleased. I got... Oh, that's the wrong thing. I got it right. We have one player full rushing and one player kiting. Not only did I guess the styles correctly, we got one of each, so it's not a perfect mirror. We actually have a stylistic change. I am a happy caster. And shocker, big surprise, both players have 5 knockout trappers, because that unit is wildly overpowered. That unit is so crazy good. They're getting nerfed next patch, right? I think they are. I hope they are, because they're insane right now. They're crazy. I don't know why CA decided to give them bonus versus infantry last patch, when they were already an auto-include all 5 of them in every ogre build in land battles and in Dom. And then they went and buffed them anyway, because reasons, I guess. Alright, so for blue, Berserk, we have a Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw, Troll Guts, and Brain Gobbler for the leadership debuff. And that looks like it. Extra ingredients and Blood Gruel for self heal. So we have Mornfang Cav Grey Opens, Mornfang Cav Grey Opens, so 3 Grey Open Cav, the mid-tier one, not the super elite ones. Ogre Bulls, Double Hunter, 5 Trappers, and more Ogre Bulls. Yeah, rushing with Cav. Solid. Love to see it. And 2 Hunters, which I didn't expect to see, but I suppose they are anti-large in melee and at range, so I don't mind it. Green one is going for a more mist-heavy style. He brought the Iron Blaster, he brought 2 Lead Belchers, which I find kind of odd. I mean, they should kill the Trappers just fine, which I suppose is a pretty big advantage. And they brought a more just bull-heavy build with no actual elites, I don't think. Do we have any of these man-eaters? You are not a man-eater. I hate how hard it is to tell man-eaters. Ah, there's a man-eater. There's a man-eater. I thought I saw one. Yeah, okay, and it disappeared. But man-eater Griffin should do quite well into the Ogre Cav if it doesn't get charged. Oh, they can do pretty well there. They're just absolutely devastating in melee. Oh, they both have man-eater Griffins. Yeah, they just tear apart large things. But 26 bonuses large is kind of insane. For a monster infantry unit, they just tear apart any big things all the time. No Greasus. How sad. Plus 50 gold losing most for infantry. Awesome. I am happy to see these guys bite the dust. They have been like the best unit on the Ogre roster since, I guess, the Gorger nerf. I was gonna say since launch, but like they've been incredible since launch, but since Gorger nerf. It was back when Gorger killed basically in the game, but that did not apply to Ogres. Like, they were terrible in the Ogre Mirror. But yes, that was back then. They would kill any infantry. They didn't kill a large that well. Alright, let's see this Iron Blaster shots. Let's see some money shots on those cavalry. What are we targeting? Targeting the Hunter? That seems like a poor choice. Like, there's a very slim... Okay, we collateraled some Mornfang Cav. We take those. You know, calculate. That was very intentional. Just swinging it around. Oh my god, I never noticed the leopard pelt on the Saber Tusk Pack pelt on the front of the Iron Blaster just nodding along. That's amazing. Ogres are a very silly faction in the best way possible. Some nice damage on those Ogre Bulls, chipping away at them. You see the Trapper's actually moving up. I would expect he goes like more of a full kite stance, since he really wants to buy time for these Lead Belchers to do their job. The Hunters are pushing up to try and fire in. Lead Belchers are firing in on the Trappers, doing as much as they can. Trappers are exchanging fire. Oh, Trappers, Trappers, Trappers. Iron Blaster firing in, gets some kills on the Cav. Kills 3 models of Cav. That's huge value. And it's taking damage from Hunters. It's fine. Oh, we didn't check what lore he has. He has also Troll Guts. And he has Bull Gorger instead of Brain Gobbler. So, bit of variety there. Love to see it. Iron Blaster walking back. The Cav are starting to waddle their way forward. Oh my gosh, the Cav animations on these things are so silly. They just look so dumb. The other Cav is hanging way in the back of the trees, so we're taking this fight really piecemeal for blue team. There's just these 2 very elite units that's like 3k value. Okay, now they're coming in. Trying to pressure the back line. Countercharge here with the Iron Fist on the regular Bulls. Problem is that red has a much slimmer front line because they have so much money on the shooting. So shooting really has to do a lot to tear them apart. It's a nice crossfire shot down on these Snarblock Trappers. Not a ton of damage. We'd love to see folks firing the cav. It is their best answer to the cav, so Lead Belchers as well seem to be shooting into the cav. Really, we want to see the Iron Blast take them apart as well. Where are the Lords? The Lord is fighting in the front line over there. Okay, give me this point-blank shot. Take him down, Iron Blaster. Give it to me, baby. Come on. I know you can do it. Dismembered. You can't move. Come on. Point-blank shot him. Come on! Nope, we're running away. Okay, that was disappointing. My disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined. The right flank is now being collapsed by the double Mornfang cav coming in. Lead Belchers are being pressured now and not being allowed to fire. The Mania Griffins are fighting into that cav. And are these just big square rolls? Where are the other Mania Griffins? Just chilling in the middle, trying to get back on the Lead Belchers. But these Mania Griffins are doing the work of the Great Maw. They're getting Troll Guts? Yeah, they're getting Troll Guts to keep fighting. Destroy that Ogre Bull. And they can actually kill that Slaughter Master. If he's not careful, he might lose the Slaughter Master. That could be devastating. Iron Blaster and the Lord are stuck in combat with the Mornfang Grey Open. Actually doing pretty well with the Lead Belcher support. Taking a lot of damage in the process. Iron Fists are coming in. The Manias are getting back onto the Lead Belchers themselves. The Cav is getting worn down by all the shooting, and Green Ones seems to be doing a pretty good job of kiting. Get those Manias away from that Knoblar Trapper shooting. Good work there, and just keep running away from those Man-Eaters, who are faster than you, but the fact they have to move and attack means that they will still gain some space. As well as the crossfire from the other Lead Belchers will do good work. The Iron Blaster is also freed up, which means, oh, come on, point-blank shots, please. Please give me point-blank shots. Yes. Destroy them. Do it. Or don't. Green One, stop baiting me. I want to see Iron Blaster devastation. I want to relive the glory days of Launch Ogres. Give it to me. Stop teasing me. Okay. There we go. That's a nice shot. Okay. In backfield, there are more Ogre Cav routing for blue team, and the red lines have pretty much collapsed. There's just these Maniers which are being destroyed by a very balanced unit of Trappers. Very balanced units. They very much needed buffs, CA. Iron Blaster gets a nice shot at point blank, and these Cav. The Lead Belchers are being shut down by the Lord. The Lead Belchers are counter-firing, they are wavering. They aren't under any threat at the moment, though, so they should be just fine until the single Man-Eater. Can he shut down the Lead Belchers? Can he do it? Bonk. Okay, it doesn't kill it. It doesn't stop them from firing either, so they are still going to keep firing on those cavalry. The problem is, with these formations disrupted as they have been, it means that all the shooting units for Green One can't actually get their value off. Which means that despite being pretty even in value, everything that Berserk has left is melee and able to just go and shut down the now unprotected missile units. So, I suspect we'll be seeing a lot of Cav running down a lot of very sad missile units. Also, a lot of units over here for Green One that are just rallying and not really getting back in the fight. Yeah, we have some mass routes coming in for Green One, so I think the cavalry build from Berserk is going to be taken today. Really curious how the Lead Belchers did, because I did not peg them as being very good in this matchup, like I was saying. Yeah, I think you probably just go Iron Blaster and then Infantry. It's just Iron Blaster gives you one missile piece, you can really protect it. Oh, come on. Give it to me, Green One. Green One. There we go. That's what we like to see. How much value does this thing even get? Only 1,200. Yeah. I feel like you can't protect all three of them against the full rush. So I feel like you just want one big money piece instead of all three. And he does tap out. Berserk takes our first game. Yeah, so how do those Lead Belchers do? The Belchers got 700 and about 700. Okay. They did okay, yeah. I think you probably drop the Lead Belchers, grab another Mania Griffin and some more Bulls or something. Like, I like the Iron Blaster, but I think it's the only missile piece you need. It'll do really well in the Cav if you can protect it, but you can't protect it when you're going this tall and shooting. And with this many Cav units, you can't shut them all down. They all beat you in melee. And honestly, the Hunters, they did okay, but I feel like you just trade them in for more Bulls to have more pressure on the missile line. You do even better. I think Berserk also got good Trapper engages and really out-traded Green One's Trappers. It was a shame, but I mean, you have more missile units to micro. It's going to, like, the quality of your micro is going to degrade a bit. Rush wins again. Let's go. Two-shot Lord, good old days. Oh yeah, two-shot from like 400 range. It was great, wasn't it? Very interactive. Pre-nerf Iron Blaster was very silly. It was very, very silly, but it was also a lot of fun. It was very, very fun. It was also like 1,200, wasn't it? It was like 12 or 1,300. and you could bring two of them on ladder and just like two tap people from across the map. It was so dumb. It was hilarious. Well, yeah, launch ogres or something else. It was like the epitome of DLC faction being better than base game factions. Just gorgers that would like were just so hard to kill. I mean, so part of the problem with gorgers was that they were like just so good in melee, but they had no armor, so ranged killed them. Like ranged absolutely destroyed them. But this was in pre-IE when there were no, when like missiles were terrible, and there weren't many in the game. Like a lot of time you're facing Korn or Nurgle or Slanesh who just didn't have missiles, so you could just destroy them with gorgers. I mean, they were good against like Kislev and Cathay too, but not as good because they get shot. All right, we're on to Schwarzhofen. Hopefully, we don't get a mirror this time. We got all the sweaty ogres out of the way, nice and early. Go Verd 1. What's Verd 1? Alright, so players are back to the picks, so we'll be waiting a few minutes for them to sort all that out. I need to check the Discord, make sure there's no questions from players. Nope, we are good. Sweet, sweet Nurgle Mirror. You know, honestly, I kind of like the Nurgle Mirror. I kind of enjoy it. Okay, so back in the early days of Warhammer 3 and Domination, I actually really liked the Nurgle Mirror because it was dumb. Because it was like, it didn't matter who won the fight because the fights took so long. It was kind of just a game of juggling cap weight, and I enjoyed it. Most people hated it, but I thought it was really fun. Just juggling cap weight. It was so degenerate, but I really enjoyed it. The best faction has the most lords in the game. Is that Walk, I assume? I assume Walk has the most lords, right? Let's look at Empire Zinch. That was a fast pick. Oh, Norska. Oh, I see. Sarcasm. That thing. I'm familiar with this thing. Yeah, but looks like that's Zinch Empire. Okay. I don't know a whole lot about this matchup. Green one does. He has a build already ready. I imagine the typical like Empire War Wagons kite style isn't that good against Zinch. The bears negate a lot of that skirmisher potential, as well as soul grinders and blue fire probably shut down War Wagons. So I expect Empire will go for a more infantry or cavalry heavy focus, or even infantry shooting like Huntsman, and go for a more aggressive style, as opposed to the pure kite that they typically play. As for Zinch, I have no goddamn clue. Berserk continuously surprises me with Zinch. Walker Skaven, probably. Drag this game out to 30 plus minutes. Yeah, I'm hoping we don't get kite versus kite, because that will take 30 plus minutes, and I'm not interested. Hey, these guys have builds saved, and they're just sending it. I love it. This is great. I see Berserk is bringing a unit I hardly ever see. In Landbouse or in Dom. Probably one of the rarest units I've ever seen on the Zinch roster. That promise you is not as exciting as I'm making it out to be. That's right, baby. Zinch Marauders. I never see them in Landbouse or in Dom. They're just really overpriced. Especially those blue horrors are so much better. Alrighty. Let us see. What do we have here? Why is there a random tombstone in the middle of this battlefield? A random, like, farmstead. With low quality textures. Why is this here? Oh, they're cutting with skirmishers. How I don't miss that, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was making it to be way more entertaining than it was. No, it's just Marauders. You never see these Marauders, they just suck. Come on, green one. I believe in your PC. You can connect to this game. I believe in you. Where is this map? Seems like generic grassland.exe. I guess mountains? I don't know, maybe the Empire. I assume it's the Empire somewhere. Alright, let's get into it. So we have double Zinch casters up in the air. We have one with just Plague of Rust, as well as Blasted Standard and Sword of Change. Then we have a Blue Fire and Pink Fire caster. Not that surprising. Okay, so we have 2 Marauders, we have 4 Blue Horrors, including the RWR, and we have 4 Chaos Knights. Looks like we have 2 Lances and 2 basic ones. So 4 Chaos Knights and some skirmishing, basically, foot skirmishing. For the Empire, we have 5 Free Company Militia. Chosen, or not, I don't know why I want to call him Chosen one. Green one. He really likes these Free Company Militia, including the RWR. The RWR is great. Armor piercing has good melee stats, but like, he really likes Free Company Militia. Got some swords, we got some spears, and we got some cav. Empire Knights, Reichsguard. Right, Empire Knights, Reichsguard. Why Reichsguard? Usually you see Knights of the Blazing Sun. Typically you only see Reichsguard in matchups like High Elves where fire resistance is prevalent. But Zinch, I don't think Zinch has fire resistance. Yeah, Zinch just has fire resistance, so I don't know why you'd go for Reichsguard over Knights of the Blazing Sun. And especially since they have fire resistance of their own to be resistant to blue fire. No village. Yeah, woe is you. Up front we have Marcus Wolfheart with his net. And that's all. And then we have a Pit of Shades Melkoth caster on foot. How long have I been muted? God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. How long have I been muted? I was saying, I was very pleasantly surprised with the builds. I expected some Soul Grinder, War Wagon, Kite bullshit. Thanks, Billiman. But actually seeing a fast-paced cav heavy matchup was very exciting. Pleasantly surprised. God damn it. Was I muted that whole game? I'm really pissed. My bad, guys. I'm sorry. Cliff of Beasts. Is this actually the map? Oh, and FNG DM'd me. Yeah, I figured it out. Thanks. God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I have this problem where I'm blind as hell and I don't have my glasses on when I'm streaming, so I can't actually see the mic button from where I sit, really. Because I have my second monitor on my left, and Streamlabs has the microphone settings on the right of the page, so I can't really see. It's always on the right side of my monitor, which is far away from me and hard to see. Because I can't wear my glasses at my desk, so otherwise I get a headache. So, seeing the beauty of the game, yeah. Yeah, he definitely seemed very prepped for the matchup. I was saying before the game that both players seem to know exactly what they want to do coming in. Too much lost. I'm glad my commentary doesn't add anything for you, Mr. Casual. I know that's not what you meant, but yeah. That pisses me off. Oh well. I will try not to do that again. I will, but hopefully not today. Alright, so we're at Cliff of Beasts. We are tied up at 1-1. I'm a fucking idiot. And everything's great. Alright, so Green One has used Empire's Ogre and Tzeentch Ogres, so yeah, I really don't know what to expect out of these players. I expect, like I said, I know Berserker's a big counts player, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring that out at some point. And I know very little Green One aside. I forgot he played Empire. I did know that, and I completely blanked on it. 10 out of 10 for cinematic shots. That was a good game. I'm glad there were nice things to look at. Yeah, Berserk is a very good player, so I would not be surprised to see him bring this one back. God damn it. God damn it. Very upset about that. I need to find a better system for not being not being muted. It was a nice fight. Yeah, that was a good game. Yeah, the cow play was very exciting. I think just the presence of spears for the Empire was the big winning point. I think Berserk brings just a couple of spears instead of the Marauders. He's a much better point to actually help win those cav fights. The cav fights just taking straight fights, even with Plague of Rust, is fine. But even Chaos Knights facing down Empire Knights with spear support is just so much better. It's just so cost effective for the Empire. So. Having all the spears in the back to just come into the late game when there's only cav left for Tzeentch is just really hard for Tzeentch to deal with. Especially since all the pink fires have to go down on the free company. Well, I don't know if they have to. I feel like you could go on the spears. I don't know. I'm not a big Tzeentch player in land battles. Though I might become one after the DLC and they become, Giga Meta. No village, no win. Yeah, I have had the opposite experience, my friend. I find that when village exists, he very rarely wins. Yeah, he did have really good pink fires. Alright. So... Okay, so Berserk picked Brett, Cathay Dwarves, banned High Elves. Green one picked Brett, banned... Wait, oh no. Banned Brett picked Chaos Dwarves. It's either Cathay Chaos Dwarves or Dwarves Chaos Dwarves. Either way, there's going to be lots of Dwarves. Yeah, the Pink Fire is really good. He's getting a lot of value out of those, but the problem is wasn't killing models. So the free company were still just firing at full strength. He needs something to actually come and follow through and kill the models that were low health. Like a Pink Fire and that Cav charge would have just deleted the units. But his Cav was just busy fighting at all the Empire Cav, so he wasn't able to follow through on that. Cathay Chaos Dwarves. I don't know if I've ever seen this matchup. I foresee Chaos Dwarves having a hard time. Because, like, Chaos Dwarves really rely on their single entity power to win games between their single entity artillery and their big monster lords and trains. Big monster lords and trains both really hate gunpowder units. So cannons, crane guns, iron hails are all very devastating to those types of units. Especially if they bring the slow from lore of... The blue lore. I can't keep the Cathay lore straight, but the blue one. The one that, well, I guess there are both Shugi lores that have them, so... The one that Miao Ying has. The slow, the Storm of Shadow slow to actually slow them down and fire them with gunpowder. I suspect Cathay also probably wins the artillery duel. I don't think Death Streaks are that good at killing Cathay cannons, although the Cathay cannons do deal fire damage. They have a bit of durability increase in this matchup. Assuming that the players do opt into an artillery duel, which... Imagine you do. Like, how else do you kill all of Cathay's infantry as Chaos Dwarves? Like, I just don't see it happening. If you don't have some kind of artillery presence. I don't know. I'm not a great Chaos Dwarf player myself, so I'm interested to see what Green One has cooked up. I'm gonna get Chorfs indeed. We got some Chorfs. Yeah, I'm really curious to see, because I am not a good Chaos Dwarf player, especially in land battles. Again, these guys are on top of their builds. It's amazing. Alright, round 3. Fight. It's about to get a lot worse in the patch drops. I know they're nerfing the labor cap weight in Dom. Well, bug fixing. But what else are they nerfing? Or is it just because everything else is getting better, do you mean? Because I don't watch a lot of Warhammer content, so I have no idea what all the changes are. How are Chorfs nowadays? I know in Dom they're like A or B tier. They're not bad. But they're kind of like on a razor's edge of there are a few things about them that are very good that carry the faction, and a lot of the roster just sucks. Like I said, it's the single entities. It's the single entity artillery, the Death Shrieks, trains, which is broken. Trains are just completely broken. And limited to 1 in this tournament and in most tournaments. And then the big monster lords are the lords on Bale Taurus, or the whatever the other big monster is, I can't remember. It's just the trains. The trains getting nerfed? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the trains are usually the big carry because they just kill everything for no reason. It's very fun and interactive. But like I said, I don't think they'd be that good against Cathay because slows and gunpowder destroy them. So yeah, we don't actually even have a train. We have triple flying monsters. So we have a source of profit of fire, a source of profit of teleporting, Burning Head, Casking Fire Cloak, the Vial of Hashut, and the Breath Attack. We have a Bale Taurus. We have a Lamasu. Why? It negates magical attacks. We have the bound spells, Enfeebling and Withering. Not typically considered that useful. We have triple Infernal Ironsworn, Hobgoblin Wolf Raider, Spears, 3 of them, and some Labors. This is a weird build, dude. I mean, like I said, it's on the single entities. It's a lot of single entity power, just kind of what I'm expecting. But I was not expecting triple Infernal Ironsworn. For Cathay, we have Peasant Longspear Frontline, 4 Jade Lancers, 3 Iron Hails, 2 Peasant Archers, a Sky Lantern, a Astromancer on a War Compass with Celestial Comet. Okay, that's just the bound spells. He's just a War Compass. We have Zhao Ming. We have a Plague of Rustcaster. Also with the Alchemist's Elixir of Pusiance. I don't know how that's pronounced. And Zhao Ming with Dragon's Breath. weird, dude. This is a terrible color scheme. This yellow is awful. I don't know why yellow, but it's awful. Sky Lantern is going to get absolutely gooned by those monsters if it is ever away from the Iron Hails. The Iron Hails are its only lifeline, which can do a lot of good work, but yeah, there's actually not a lot of threats to these Infernal Ironsworn. It's really just the spells from that Astromancer on the War Compass. Really the only threat. So, they could actually do a lot of work here. I mean, Xiaoming can probably grind through them on his own, given enough time, and the Iron Hails, if they get flank shots on them, will tear them apart. But that's a lot to ask oftentimes, so. I am really curious about this. This is nothing about like what I expected. Cathay should pretty heavily win the mobility fight, at least with cavalry. As long as the monsters don't get involved. These guys are not very well equipped to deal with armored Jade Lancers. So they will do quite well there. There's actually a lot of cap. There's 4 Jade Lancers and this Peasant Horseman back here. He's going to realize very quickly there's nothing back here for him. So I'm curious if he just runs and hides or tries to get back to formation, or if he just chills. So. Okay, else can change other than slaves and trains. Okay. That's what I thought, but yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the things keeping them afloat in Dom anyway. Again, I don't know Chorth very well in Land Battle, so I can't really speak to that. Lantern is just kind of plinking away with its little, like, what, 3 crane gunners? 4 crane gunners, just plinking away. What if he just starts spinning it, if it starts firing all the guns? You just, like, you know, rotate as fast as you can, and so each one gets a shot off. Xiaoming is just running up and transforming immediately. What's he going to go after? Is he going to pick a fight with single entity, or is he going to start shooting up infantry? Curious to see what his goal is here. Like, the only spell he brought is the one he has access to in this form anyway, so there's no real reason for him to stay human. The monsters are approaching. Cathay is rotating to match. The Iron Hails are the big threat to those monsters, though. It's really Cathay's big answer to these big monsters. Peasant Horseman is just lurking in the backfield. Yeah, he just wants to check those big monsters, I think. Breath attack coming in. Pretty underwhelming. Those breath attacks have never impressed me. Especially compared to, like, the zombie dragon breath attacks. They're just so pathetic. So. Alright. I was making sure I wasn't muted. I am not muted, as far as I can tell. No. Linking potshots coming in on the lords. Doing good work. Scaring off the cav, just waiting for the infantry to approach. The infantry is going to absolutely obliterate these peasant long spears. And might actually just be able to run straight through. Do blasting charges just to leave the peasant long spears, run straight at the crane gun, or the Iron Hails, not the crane guns. Not peasants. Goblin laborers being run down by Jade Lancers, doing good work, hindering the advance of the Chorus. The blasting charges go in. Goodbye, peasant long spears. I hope you didn't enjoy life too much. Do what they can to try and wear down the laborers, so there's fewer units to just muck up the missile units. Xiaoming is enfeebled, and he's being chased by 2 of the big monsters, the Lamasu and the Baltaurus Lord. Well, as there's a Baltaurus in the backfield getting another breath attack off. This looks like a breath attack angle. Are you breathing on them? Are you breathing on them? Nope, we're gonna get Iron Hailed. Give it to me, baby. I love Iron Hails. If you've hung around my stream at all, you know I love Iron Hails so much, and they're getting absolutely massacred by the Sorcerer Prophet. Crossfire coming in, though, but Goblin Labor's gonna try and muck it up fast. You just get these guys in a box formation so they don't... Oh, that's a burning head. Oh, that's a burning head. Okay, good dodge for the most part. Iron Hails need to be in box formation so they can turn as fast as possible and really punish these lords. Laborers are being torn apart. The Cav are doing a good job running down those Infernal Ironsworn and just wearing them down. Plague of Rust upgraded as well, up to 78 armor debuff. Still pretty heavily armored, 48. You have Cascading Fire Cloak going down the Lord, as Xiaoming does try to stick to his booty and beat him down. But not doing a whole lot. Xiaoming has a hard time connecting in a dragon form. All the dragons do. Dragons suck. Cathay dragons are so bad, man. I hate that unit. I hate all of them so much. But he'll do what he can in that duel. And more importantly, he's keeping the Iron Hails online. Which means they can actively shred this Lamasu. Oh my goodness, I love this unit so much. Now turn around. Turn around, get... Oh, what is that? That's a blasting charge volley. That's brutal, but come on. Give it to me, baby. Tear apart that Lamasu. This is a big, big loss for Berserk. No, Berserk's Cathay. There's a big, big loss for Green One. The Iron Hail is just tearing apart your Lamasu. No healing available for it, as far as I recall. So it is just going to be routed off and headed for the hills very quickly. But now, the 2v1 is going to come in here. Breath attack on the cab does some nice damage. More importantly, we can now get some support for the Chorf Lord as he tries to escape from Xiaoming. Cathay is just trying to pin him in with more cavalry, try and finish him off. The 2v1 should be fine, though, in that cavalry fight. But the value lead is very, very heavily in favor of Cathay, since they did manage to delete that Lamasu. Nice burning head. Nice dodge. Berserk is quick on the reflexes. Immediately spots it and just immediately gets out of the way. The infantry is still grinding pretty well. The Infernal Ironsworn are going nowhere fast. There's not a lot of armor-piercing answers to them. But without the monsters to pressure the Iron Hails can just wrap around them and shoot them from whatever angle they like. So you need some kind of ability presence as the Chaos Dwarves to actually ensure your infantry can grind effectively and not be surrounded. The Single Blade fight is going nowhere fast as well. They're just kind of stuck fighting Cav. Xiao Ming is idling. He's not actually in melee because animations. The Llama's just coming over too, so Xiao Ming probably wants to beat a hasty retreat and fall back towards his Iron Hails. And things that can actually protect him, although the Iron Hails seem to be in a pretty rough spot. Although they are getting some side shots in the Infernal Ironsworn and doing very, very good damage. This has a ton of value already. Yeah, 700 value already. Good, good, good. You see it, Cav coming to intercept. Iron Hails need to kite these guys. Stay online as long as possible. Where are the other Iron Hails? Are they dead? I think they're dead. Oh, one rallied back here. Excellent. That's a very healthy Iron Hail. It's a very big... That's a lot of danger. A lot of potential damage output there. Looks like... Ooh, big hit on the Lamasu. The Lord as well is taking a lot of damage. But Xiao Ming's in trouble here. There's no healing available for him. Vile Hashes pop, so he's super weak to fire, as well as the Withering. So he is in a lot of trouble. All the debuffs going down on him. And he's just being gangbanged by these bulls. Just absolutely destroyed. And he needs to get the heck out of dodge. Fortunately, his animations, like the animations do, like, keep him somewhat safe as they take forever, so he doesn't hit that fast. And he's actually doing pretty good work, the Source of Profit of Fire, even still. A pretty strong duelist in Dragon form when he does connect. The Cav is helping out as well, and the Sky Lantern is just casually coming to hang out. Just come to chill. Like, what's going on down there, bros? What's going on? Can we help? Can we do anything? The Lord duel is going probably in the favor of Cafe, as the Baltaurus does get sidetracked by the actual fight going on in the Cav blob. And if that Baltaurus Lord goes down, I suspect that will probably be the end for the Chaos Dwarves. The infantry is in a lot of trouble here. Not a lot of help for it. It's just being picked apart ever so slowly by Cathay missiles. Very, very low health. Xiao Ming should be able to kill the Sorcerer Prophet, although he does get a bit of a heal from the Chalice of Blood and Darkness, it looks like. He is down to only 1500 HP, although he is not that far behind Xiao Ming. He's doing what he can. Chalice of Blood and Darkness, another proc, another heal. Yeah, Cathay needs to stop casting spells. Stop trying to play Rustum and stop healing him. The Alchemist needs to not just chill out right next to him and heal him. This Prophet is routed. The Alchemist and Xiao Ming should chase him off, and I think that is the death knell for the Chaos Dwarves. There's one for Alliance Ward left grinding, but the Iron Tails can have their way with it. And that is going to be that. And Berserk takes another. Puts us up to game point. Yeah. Solid game plan from Cathay. The Iron Hails are the perfect counter to those big monsters. They're such a massive threat. They demand a lot of attention. They had to go pretty deep to actually try and deal with them. And in the time they were doing that, the Cav was punishing the infantry line. The Cav play from Berserk was very, very clean to just go and cycle charge all the infantry and wear it down and make sure there are no actual threats on the ground to those Iron Hails, as they were able to just keep safe. And then Xiao Ming he impressed me, I'll be honest. He did really well in that Lord duel in 2v1, which I didn't expect. Granted, he had a ton of Cav support, but still, he did quite well. The Lord underperformed. I don't understand the Lamasu pick. Lamasus have worse stats than the cheaper one, I believe. They get some bound spells, but not that great bound spells, like the Withering and Enfeebling Foe, which I guess when you're trying to snipe the Lord, Enfeebling is nice, but only one cast isn't that great. Especially when you have access to that lore if you really want it anyway. Because, like, how expensive is a lot? It's 1200 compared to the... Okay, it has better defense, but it's worse melee attack. And it's not armor piercing. And it doesn't have Blazing Body, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't have Blazing Body. So, like, I don't really understand the Lamasu pick. So, yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, blocker needs to go back up. Berserk has brought us to game point. Green one needs to pull out this next one, or he is going to lose our finals, and Berserk will take it all. Say I'm not muted, emphatically, because if you were, wouldn't know. Yeah. Had to give anything else. Yeah, just trains getting nerfed. Yeah. Yeah, without trains, Chaos Dwarfs are going to be in a much worse spot. Like, trains were, I mean, they're broken as hell, but they were carrying them in a lot of ways. So them being nerfed is a pretty big hit to them. I feel like they just need their infantry to be a little bit cheaper. Like all of the infantry, like 50 gold cheaper, would be a pretty good big step in the right direction for them. Because right now, it feels like you look at the Chaos Dwarf roster. So let me pull it up real quick. you look at the Chaos Dwarf roster, and it's like, well, what units on this roster are good? It's like, well, these things over here, and these things up here. And that's kind of it. Like, all of the infantry is overpriced. The shooting is fine if you can keep it alive, which you can't really do because your infantry is overpriced, so you don't have enough infantry. Your mobility is a little overpriced. Your skirmish cav are fine. Your skirmish cav are fine. And your monsters are okay, aside from Kudai. The Kudai do suck. And I'm not a fan of the Lambasu. Like, the Bale Taurus, the Great Taurus and the Bale Taurus are fine. But, like, that's such a small portion of the roster that's, like, actually good for the price. And most of it's because they're busted. Like, the trains are busted. Otherwise, it would just be like the Magma Cannon and the Death Shriek. Because the Dreadwing isn't that good either. It's really random. So, it's a hard time being consistent. And for the price, it kind of sucks. It's like Death Shriek and Magma Cannon, a Lord on a Bale Taurus. Good luck. And a bunch of laborers, usually. Not Kithay, Kislev, and Dom. Oh. You wonder how Bull Center Rush would do if I was against Kithay? Oh, against Kislev and Dom? I don't know. I suspect it probably suffers against powder a lot. I imagine lots of gunpowder tears them apart. They also have the problem of being lightly armored, so if they get countercharged by winged lancers, they actually take a lot of damage. So they're not that durable. I mean, they have a ton of hit points, but the lack of armor means that they take a lot of damage from ranged or from cav charges. So they can do a lot of damage, but they're kind of fragile for their price. Again, massive HP pool, but low armors kind of hurts them. Yeah. And they're so expensive. Like, they're 1,600 for one of these guys. For one of them, so. And it's like your follow-up to that is, what, Laborers? Hobgoblins? Hobgoblins kind of suck. Chaos Dwarf Warriors are a little overpriced. So it's like, yeah. This unit is okay if a little overpriced, but there's no good follow-up. No supporting elements for it, really. Oh. If they end up going too deep, or even if they just go to the front into the enemy front line and get countercharged or shot, there's nothing to bail them out. That's cost-effective. So I should have a blocker. I don't think they actually changed factions yet. Nope, they're still picking. That's good. I leaked nothing so far. Alright, so we are on to the Reichland Estates. Green one has used Chaos Dwarf's Empire Ogres. Berserk has used Cathay Zinch Ogres. Okay, what are our next set of picks going to be? What do we got coming? So, Berserk seems to be favoring a lot of missile factions. He played, what's he played? He played Dwarfs earlier, Ogres. Yeah, he played at Rush Ogres. Okay, there's the counts. There's Berserk's counts. I was wondering when we'd see his counts. So I know he's a big count player. I've seen him play it many times before, so I'm not surprised to see that coming out. Curious to see if Greenland has a counter for it. I don't actually know what's good against counts these days. Not a lot of people play counts, so I don't have that much practice against them. Alright, so Green one picked Greenskins, Dark Elves, Walk, ban Lizards. Berserk picked Counts, ban Walk. Got Dark Elves into Counts. Okay. This is a matchup I actually do kind of know. The way I usually play this as Dark Elves is with Handbow Kite. I find you can't really win the melee fight very effectively against Crypt Horrors, so you need to shoot them. So I kite with Handbows, and I'll have some Corsairs and Sisters, not Sister Slaughter, Witch Elves to kind of intercept things. A couple of Cold Knights to trade well, and then obviously the Dragon Lord up in the air. And just kind of like wear them down, run them around. If they try to get on my Handbows, I rampage them with the Witch Elves, and just kind of drag them through the mud. It's still kind of a tough matchup for Dark Elves. You have to be very, very careful not to use any of your ammo on zombies, because that's a big waste. But it is pretty effective in my experience. Like all the you have pretty good mobility control as Dark Elves with your Dragon Lord and your Cold One Knights and your armor-piercing shooting. Makes it pretty hard for Vampire Counts to actually run down your kite elements. So, I find Kite to be very, very effective against Counts here. Of course, you could go for like the old school build. Like in Warhammer 2, there was a Dark Elf box that was just like brutal. It was just like Blackguard with Marathi. Marathi's debuffs have been nerfed a bit, but still, the concept still works with like a Witch Elf for AoE buffs and maybe an Assassin for Web of Shadows, which is basically another free Soul Stealer, damage-wise anyway, and just blob up and rely on Soul Stealer. Probably could do that. It's a little dated, but like that kind of box style is probably still viable. Probably add some Handbows in the middle to actually like pressure a Dragon Lord and poke at Mortis or at Crypt Horrors. I can see that style still working out to some degree. I'm curious to see what he will actually go for. We haven't seen either of these players favoring like super hard boxing too much, so wouldn't be surprised to see the Kite style come in. For Counts, I'm curious to see what it is. Like I said, I feel like the Cav play definitely is in the favor of Dark Elves just because they can support it with Repeaters and Scourge Runners. Like, Blood Knights should destroy Cold One Knights, just given the price difference. But the armor-piercing shooting from Dark Elves is brutal. So, I would not be surprised to see a more like melee-focused and just try and absorb the skirmish elements with your infantry. Just kind of tank the damage and heal through it, and then get your Crypt Horrors in there and fight. Alright. On the Reckland Estates, we have Counts versus Dark Elves. And green one has his back to the wall. If he loses this one, if he can't pull out a win and overcome Berserk's Vampire Counts, then Berserk will take our series and win it all. Oh, Toxic Counts were in Moorland Press first came out? Yes, vividly. Lock her up. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, when Moorland Press started, I had early access for like 2 weeks. And I played with just Houseplant and Random Mix, and they kicked my ass with Counts for like a week. And I got so burnt out and just kind of stopped playing for like a week while I had early access because I just couldn't beat Houseplant's Counts. Yeah, it was fun. Alright, so, Counts. We have Baldy up in the sky on a dragon. We got Buna, we got Leech, Invocation, Raise Dead, Doom and Darkness, and Breath Attacks. What else we got? We got a Necromancer with Forbidden Rod and Lesser Raise Dead, the bound one. Interesting. Got some zombies, we got the Tithe, we got some Spears, we got some Crypt Horrors, Unholy Loads on Corpse Cart, Double Vargeist, and a singular unit of Cairn Wraiths. Interesting. I don't know Counts builds that well, so I don't know if this is typical or surprising. For Dark Elves, this is more what I expected. This I know. 5 Blacker Corsair Handbows, 4 Darkrai Repeaters, a bunch of Dark Riders and Cold One Knights. We are kiting, boys. And the Supreme Sorceress in the air with, ooh, Power of Darkness. Are you going to use that on yourself? Or are you going to use that on, what are you going to use that on? You can use that on hand bows? It's like it damages the target, but that gives extra wham. Who's the target for this, I wonder? When I've seen that spell used in the past, it's usually like, you bring like a cheap footcaster and just have it cast them on themselves. But obviously, you have a very expensive Dragon Lord here, and you don't want to be spending their HP on that. Yeah, Dark Elf's going to push up immediately and just start shooting and skirmishing. And without, honestly, only 2 zombies means there's not a lot to just absorb this damage. Everything here is like a reasonable target to shoot. So this seems like a big problem. They're broken that they led to 2 fundamental changes in Dom. I mean, they weren't even the most powerful faction at the time, is the thing. Slanesh just still kicked their ass so hard. It was great. Yeah, and push up and start skirmishing immediately. Dark Rapier is running forward. Manfred's just gonna pray that he gets a Buna and fast enough to actually try and set down some of these repeaters. Delta Spirit are probably acceptable targets for the handbows who have a lot more ammo. Spirit Lead's coming down. I would expect you want to save. Oh no, it's Power of Darkness with the Opal Amulet. Interesting. Interesting. You're not. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like you need your Dragon's HP to actually like shut down Manfred and deal with some of these Vargheists. I feel like your Dragon's HP is super important here. Yeah, Dark Rapiers, I feel like you want to be shooting the large targets in the back, like maybe loop around this left side where these guys are. Get some shots on the big guys, because Spears are probably an acceptable target for the handbows that have a lot more ammo. And their ammo isn't as valuable. There's the Buna. But for the big guy, the repeaters, you probably will be shooting the Monstrous Infantry. The more expensive stuff. Handbow shooting coming in. Skirmishing is in full force. The Buna should break these guys. They probably want to back up, honestly, to be in the middle of their army. Their leadership is bolstered by being near allies. Being near the enemy when you're getting Buna means your leadership is going to tank really hard. So you probably want to pull it back because it's going to rout otherwise. Yeah, there you go. There it goes. Like it has, and it doesn't anymore, but damage is the same. Like flank secure. If it was back here surrounded by allies, I think it actually gives some leadership buffs. Probably want to pull it back. The handbows are just a free firing. Looking at these skeletons, the Lord is landing on to try and break it as well. But they are taking a bit of friendly fire. You need to be a bit careful of. The skeletons are starting to crumble away, taking loads and loads of damage. So, and now the entire Dark Elf army runs away. Counts. Oh, they're so slow. This is what you get for playing counts and being slow. Handbows, yeah, just free firing. There's not a whole lot that can be done about it. And the dragon is pretty safe because, like, if they land on the dragon, then all these handbows and Dark Rapiers just destroy whatever lands. So, counts get even punished. The Sorceress Lord. Far side Spears are pushing up a little out formation. Yeah, they need to be a bit careful of getting out there too far. You just get run down by Cav. Spears in the open, even Thera Spears, if they're infantry in the open, they can get run down. They get shot to pieces. So they need to stay together to be safe. Oh, yeah. Yep, the dragon is just kind of free to do what it wants. If these Crypt Horrors come up and try to punish it, they come up and try to like beat the crap out of it, then the handbows and the Dark Rapiers push up and just delete the Crypt Horrors. Which is probably what's about to happen, is they do try to chase off the Lord. And yep, now the Dark Rapiers are focus firing the Crypt Horrors, doing some good damage there. Getting what we can, and just look at all of these arrows, yeah. And good damage. The Necromancer's in there as well, doing what they can. Are we going to get a Ritney instead? I imagine not. It's not going to stop the dragon. But bringing the Necromancer in here, this fight is weird. Like, Necromancer's just going to beat the crap out of it. It's not a combatant. Got 30 melee defense. It doesn't want to be fighting a dragon. Yeah, just coming in and getting shot. The Crypt Horrors try to bully out the Lord, and they get shot in response. The Skeletons are pushing back that Skirmishing Core, though. The dragon can no longer be protected, so it has to bail out, get further back towards the Skirmishing Core. The far side, Crypt Horrors have run forward. They're going to get countercharged by Cold One Knights, which honestly isn't the greatest trade of the Cold One Knights, which is really disappointing. The Armored Cav does not do super well into the Armored Infantry, the Monster Infantry, excuse me. But the Skirmishers will do good damage. The Zombie Summoning is going to try to bog them down and actually eliminate that one mobility piece of the Dark Elves as they do try to pull away. But the Kite is all just backing out. So plenty of missiles left for the Dark Elves. The Dragon Lord has taken some damage. Should we see a Soul Stealer coming down here? It looks like some pretty juicy spots for Soul Stealer right around here. Unless there was one that came down and I missed it, which is also a possibility. Yeah, some pretty juicy Soul Stealer targets coming in. Handbows are getting caught by the Vargheists as well as these Cannon Rays. I'd love to see a Soul Stealer come down those Cannon Rays and try to wear them down because you don't have much magic damage as the Dark Elves. Left flank has largely been abandoned by the Vampire Counts, it looks like. They're pushing very, very hard on the right side. With all their Monster Infantry reaching forward, trying to kick out those Corsairs. The infantry for the Vampire Counts, however, is wearing very, very thin very quickly. They don't have a whole lot to saturate and actually protect that against the anti-large Cold One Knights when they do decide to actually engage. The Dragon Lord is in a bit of trouble here, actually. Dark Rider's coming to try to bail out. There's the Soul Stealer. Just try and bail it out. The Vargeist coming in just in time to get hit by it. Oh no, they don't get hit by it. Very lucky Vargeist. It does get the Cairn Rays, it gets the zombies, it gets the Necromancer. But the Lord is in a lot of trouble, and Manfred realizes it. Old Knights have to come in and try and bail it out. The zombies are there to try and saturate in. But that Lord's in a lot of trouble. That animation is perfect. It runs right into its own cav. Gets out to safety. Do we have the... What's the Opal Amulet? What is that going down? Is that a Buna on the cav? Buna on the Cold One Knight cav. We need some Dark RPers to come and try and punish Manfred for being the Lord. The Lord, it looks like it's free, but it's charging right into more Crypt Horrors. And the Dark Elf Skirmishing Corps, like the infantry, seems to be taking a lot of losses. They cut out 2 or 3 of the handbows. There's only, what, 1 handbow here, 1 handbow here that's still alive and kicking. But the Vampire counts are just in a blob, just completely blobbed up and being shot to pieces by all of the Skirmishing forces. Oh no, there's another handbow here. So there's 3 still online. This one is out of range and not firing. They are doing good work, just wearing down the counts. But the damage value is pretty even, which is not good if you're playing against counts, because they have so much healing. The Necromancer is going down, though, which I guess is a little win for the Dark Elves. Still a lot of very, very strong Crypt Horrors on the field, regenerating, as well as the Cairn Rays running forward. And the Cav core for the Dark Elves is being worn down. These Vargas, however, are going to die off to these Dark Riders with some support, I hope. They are very low, they are crumbling, and the handbows are shooting into them. Dark Rapiers still have a healthy amount of ammo. And the less infantry is on the field for Vampire Counts means that Dark Elves have a much better time accessing whatever target they want. There's less infantry to scream, they can just go and shoot whatever they want, which in this instance is Manfred. He's a very, very valuable target. These Dark Riders and Handbows are going to tear him apart, do a lot of good work, and farm a lot of value for the Dark Elves. The Dark Elf Lord is free and is already exhausted. Already exhausted. So he probably just wants to chill out, get some Soul Stealers off, wear down some Crypt Horrors. Handbows need to keep running. Are there any Cold One Knights left alive? Okay, the Cairn Rays are also getting worn down very, very quickly. They're crumbling away. Doing good work there. What spell do we see coming down there? Oh, it's not a spell, it's a breath attack on Dark Riders. Get some good damage there. Handbows are still quite healthy over and still firing. They're almost out of ammo though, but they serve just as well in melee, clearing out zombies, though they do struggle with Crypt Horrors. In fact, the Vargeist are just trying to ward off those Dark Rider repeaters, which is quite a hefty task, and these guys still have so much ammo. Zombie summon seems to be fading away, which means these Crypt Horrors are going to be left unattended, completely unsupported, which means they can get torn apart by missiles. On the far side, Dark Elves are collapsing on the Corpse Cart. The Cavalry and the Dragon Lord do what they can to take it apart. And yeah, Crypt Horrors are pushing too far forward. They get countered by Dark Riders and shot to pieces by all these Dark Rider repeaters. And this is looking pretty good for the Dark Elves. They seem to be pretty heftily in control. Not a whole lot of mobility left for the counts. There's no infantry really to screen here. I must say, the decision not to only bring 2 zombies is shocking to me, because there's... Oh, never mind, this snipe coming in. The Soul Stealer is going to be good. The Opal Amulet is popped for the Ward Save, but there's nothing here to support. The Dark Riders, why are they shooting zombies? Don't shoot zombies, shoot Manfred. Manfred's actually in a lot of trouble here. The zombies are... They're not... Dragons are dancing. I have no idea who's being hit. I think Manfred got hit. Problem is, there's 2 Handbows here, there's 2 Dark Riders here, and they're all shooting Manfred. So he came in with the health advantage, and now he is getting pounded by missile fire. The Vargeist took off to try and get out of it. Manfred's trying to escape, and the Dragons do just amicably decide to leave things as is. No more fighting, we choose peace. Peace among dragons, at least for the moment. Manfred needs to be careful of those Dark Riders, who are being warded off by the Vargeist, at least for the moment, as well as those zombies. There are some more skirmish elements over here that Greenwood needs to mop up and bring back towards the center. And get them focusing Manfred. Manfred, who is quite low. Spirit is going down. This feels like a very desperate Final Lord snipe. Opal Amulet is on cooldown, so is Spirit Leech. Or so is Soul Stealer. So the Dragon Lord is in a lot of trouble, but so many forces left for the Dark Elves that I don't think it might even be enough, and it's a hard Dragon Lord to kill. These Dragon Lords for Dark Elves are notoriously difficult to end. And now the Dark Rider repeaters are just firing in on the Vargeist and Manfred and farming so much value, and I don't see a lot of hope for the Vampire Counts at this point. The balance of power is starting to favor the Dark Elves. The Soul Stealer comes in, Manfred does dodge it, but the Vargeist is taking full damage from it. Be a little bit careful about friendly firing your Dragon Lord. That'd be very, very unfortunate if you do kill yourself with Dark Rapier crossfire, which I've definitely done before. Now we land to make sure that we can get supported by our infantry. And the Vargeists are just being worn down by all the missile fire from all the various directions. Dragon Lord is very, very low leadership. She might break. Manfred alone cannot kill all of the skirmishers that are left. We still have a pretty healthy amount of ammo. Still some good volleys on a lot of these cav units, so they can still pretty easily kill Manfred. The Vargeists are crumbling. A couple of zombies, but honestly the Handbows can finish them off in melee pretty easily. Crypt Horrors and zombies are gone. It's just Manfred. He's trying to get the Lord kill. With all the missiles still available to the Dark Elves, I don't see a way for Manfred to actually win this. I don't think he has a whole lot of WOM left. His HP is rapidly dwindling to the missile fire. He's got, what is that, Zombie Summon? Okay, Zombie Summon. Dark Crusaders are more than capable of handling them in melee, though. Just trying to chase off that Dragon Lord, but the Dark Repeaters are more than capable of running him down themselves and finishing him off. He's just got to spend his time juking, which means this Lord can perhaps get free and drop another Soul Stone, heal up, and finish him off. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see a whole lot of hope for the vampires. Some resources is starting to rally as the Dragon Lord tries to just go up and down to juke shots from the Dark Repeaters. If he can waste all the Dark Repeater ammo, that is one potential way he could win this. Because they're not very strong in melee, he has a chance he could win them, and he's still chasing off this Dragon Lord. Being very, very close to the edge, actually. He might get her off. That sounded wrong. But I don't think he'll be able to actually kill everything else here. Because once these zombies die, he'll be obligated to go and fight the handbows in melee or something in melee. And now these Dark Repeaters can just turn on him and melt him. Because, yeah, a couple of good volleys, and Manfred is going to die very rapidly. Yeah, it's 1300 HP. I don't think he has any WOM left for Invocation. He does route off the one with the most ammo, which is actually huge. Dark Elves need to leave this corner of the map. They need to get away from the white line. That's the only way they lose. They need to get back over here, kill these zombies, and force Manfred to land. Because of attacking rules, he's compelled to land as soon as those zombies die. So as soon as these guys are finished off, it's in good shape. Just keep your Dark Riders alive, split them up. You can't get both of them. They actually have a very, very small amount of ammo. That's actually bad. And he got an Invocation. He did have enough for an Invocation. That's actually horrible for the Dark Elves. Actually, Berserk could pull this back off. Routing up that one Dark Elf that had so much ammo is a huge, huge loss to the Dark Elves. You need your ammo, and you only have, what, 4 volleys on you and 1 on you. Manfred could pull this off. He's got a Zombie Summon. That Zombie Summon's just gonna, buy him time to keep cycle charging with the Dragon. The handbows have no ammo. It's just these Dark Rider Repeaters. Can they take him down? Got the Sword of Unholy Power, so the longer he's in melee, he's actually recharging more and more WOM, so he could even continue to heal himself further. Manfred could carry this. This is getting really dangerous. The Dragon Lord routing off the edge of the map was a horrible, horrible loss to the Dark Elves. Dark Rider Repeaters are missing. They need to hit their shots. You need to ride them up to, practically melee so they don't miss. Just ride them up right here. Just point blank him. You cannot afford to miss your ammo. Cannot afford to miss. Manfred's got another heal off. He got another Invocation. His health bar is going up. The balance of power is shifting back in the favor of Berserk. And the Dark Repeaters are out of ammo. They have no ammo. Oh, that is so devastating. Losing the one Dark Repeater that had a ton of ammo. So, so devastating. I have 2 volleys, and he has 3,000 hit points. Now, the zombies are crumbling. So, again, as soon as they're gone, Manfred cannot, cycle charge anymore. He's got more summons coming, so the longer he's in melee, the more WOM he generates. And the balance of power is just shifting ever so slowly back in the favor of the vampire counts. I think Berserk's got this. I think he pulled it off. There's 1 volley left in this Dark Repeater, and he has 3,000 hit points. That volley, even if they all hit, will not do enough to take him down. I think he's got this. I think he clutched it out. Chasing off that Dragon Lord, getting rid of the Terror Route on that one Dark Repeater with so much ammo. I think he's got this. Another Terror Route coming in. More WOM being generated thanks to that Sword of Unholy Power. Dark Repeater's trying to come and punish him. Don't think it'll be enough. Zombie summons are coming in. Yeah, another zombie summon. How many of those does he have left? That's really all that's buying him time to stay in there. He's got 1 more summon left. 5 WOM. He's not no real use for Invocation as he is practically heal capped. Matter of finish up the infantry, and these Dark Repeaters aren't really accomplishing much. I don't think there's really any way for Green One to kill this vampire. Manfred is just going to tear apart all of these guys. Handbows are going down. Still another healthy handbow, and still another low health handbow, and a very, very low health handbow. But no ammo means no real killing power for this dragon. These guys are not very tough in melee. They're alright, they're a hybrid unit, but compared to, Lord of Darkness over here, on his zombie dragon covered in blood and generating infinite WOM, yeah, they're a bit outclassed, I think. Now, the Cav could do is, nice downhill charge right into his back. Do whatever damage you can, but you can get mucked up in the zombies, and the zombies come behind to try and pin them in even further and finish them off. Beautiful timing there from Berserk. Now, Berserk is a very, very practiced Vampire Counts player, so this is just, picture perfect. Exactly what you need to do in this kind of scenario. The Spirit is coming down to finish those guys off as they do Terror Route. Bounce power sliding ever so closely towards the defeat of the Dark Elves. Manfred is just cycle charging to his heart's content. Not really much Dark Elves can do to stop him here. No ammo to punish him. No flying units that can contest him. No cav that can actually pin him in long enough to do any damage to him. Because these Dark Rider repeaters are not good in melee. Dogpiling on Manfred, he's just trying to get out. The zombies are doing what they can to just bog him down. Doom and Darkness coming down on the repeater crossbows, rather. I know the handbow's over here. Yeah, their leadership is going to hold just fine for the moment. What Manfred is really going to need is that last zombie summon to buy him. Oh no, he's out of zombie summons, so he does have to stay on the ground here. He is actually getting worn down. But no, army losses come in. Berserk takes it. The Vampire Count's clutching it out. That was very close. I thought Green One had that in the bag for a very long time, but Manfred shakes off that Dragon Lord, and that terror route on the one repeater crossbow that had so much ammo. Just clutched that so hard. It was a massive swing play in favor of the Vampire Counts. That's a brutal loss. If I was Green One, I'd be so annoyed by how I lost that one. Like, that's such a rough mistake to make. Letting his unit get that close to the edge and routing off. They all got tons of value. Like, I think this is the one that routed off, and like it with so much ammo left too. Oh, that's devastating. But that is Berserk taking our series and our tournament. Congratulations, he is our first Cold One Cup champion. So that is all the games we have for today. Like I said, I will be back tomorrow. I will be back in about 25 hours from now. I will be streaming on the early access patch, and I'll be showing off everything new I can find. The new units, anything that buffed or nerfed that I can find, I will be showing that off in custom battles with AI, or maybe with Human Boy if he has time to join me. So yeah, come back and check it out. Again, tomorrow night, about an hour later than this, so 7:30 p.m. EST. So, thank you guys so much for coming. I will see you all later.